before, and I wasn't just looking.
We knew it was a pretty show. Whenever one of the anime conventions we were at, they were just showing like the ending credits song of Nisekoi, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that is pretty. Why is it attached to such a shit show?
Well, because it's all Shaft all the time. So like it's like I'm just glad that Monogatari is about Madoka and Monogatari as opposed to more of the like weird like Nisekoi Monogatari crossovers that they were doing for a while.
Well, I was going to try to use my mic this time, but apparently I now pick up Matt and Sarah talking downstairs. So I guess I have to switch off.
Well, we're on our mic. How do we sound?
Terrible. Your parents got you the wrong mic. I'm sorry, Kai. Accepted.
Well, that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
It was pretty sweet, David. I set up a media server for Caillou, and he got to use it exactly once before I blew it up and made it again.
That's
literally
good.
Sam was like, let's test and see if this works. And I was like, yay, I have successfully completed all the steps to take a movie from Dropbox, move it to the PS3, and watch it on the big screen. And then Sam was like, great, it works. And then today he was like, yeah, I dismantled that entire thing.
It's all done. All done. On the plus side, I'm taking 3 computers to the dump tomorrow to reduce my computer ownership to I'm trying to keep it in the single digits.
So my assumption was that you guys were like, we're going to do podcasting, and Sam drove, and then Sam went. Caillou was just stuck there.
No, it was more like Caillou didn't know what time it was when we left, and I was like, I didn't eat lunch today. We eat food here, Chinese buffet, and we sat down, and then there was an experience of Caillou watching me eat 2 meals at once at a buffet.
Well, part of this was me being like, Sam, do you have a headphone splitter? Because if you do, we should try out the new mic and the kitchen table rather than going to our respective corners. However, if you do have a splitter, then that means I have to do some setup and figure out to make sure all this is working. And then he was like, no, I don't have a splitter. And I was like, cool. Then I will go to Kohl's and deal with that. And then Kohl's took like twice as long as it should have and didn't work out very well anyway.
And then in Kohl's, like, oh, by the way, I found the splitter just before we left.
Yes. So then we had to go eat, and then I got home and was like, I have to do all the setup stuff.
Well, the other thought we thought was going to happen was that you're going to be like, Sam discovered that all you can eat buffets are a lie. It's never been Sam.
Yeah, that's it.
Now we had a fun moment where Sam was like, going to a buffet is great for my diet because all I want is calories of protein. And I was like, wow, it's really awful for my diet because all I want is to limit my calories.
And so I assume you just didn't eat, and Sam just taunted you by eating as much food as possible.
I ate things until I was full, and then I resisted the urge to cram more food down my gullet, so I count that as a partial victory.
Nice. I'm going to pick my cell phone so I can know what films, TV, and pornography came out this year.
Yeah, what are we talking about? We didn't really talk about what we're talking about.
Hold on.
Also, Sam is gone, so you're talking to me now.
My cell phones.
I'm just trying to decide. I could hear them talking downstairs, so I guess. Darn it! All right. I wanted to use my mic. I wanted to use the mic.
You can't use your Yeti.
I can, but I could hear I could actually hear Matt and Sarah Ann talking downstairs.
Well, I mean, that
on
doesn't
the mic.
necessarily. Well, okay.
I mean, we can do it. I'm just warning you now what I've heard.
I mean, you can try it, and I can see what I
don't hear them now.
You can also just tell them to shut up for an hour or two.
Well, I don't think it's as reasonable when I'm like, I'm upstairs. I mean, I can tell them to maybe be a little quiet, but it's not reasonable for me to be like, don't talk when I'm not literally in the room next to them.
Well, they can talk quietly. I don't know. Why don't you get your mic and try it out, and we'll see if we can do like an all Yeti podcast like the good old days.
Okay. You're going to be like, with my new Yeti, it's better than the old Yeti. I've cast it aside. Also, we actually have 2 Yetis now because Sarah got Matt a Yeti for Christmas.
Awesome. So now we can do like a multi-Yeti.
We could do I don't know why we'd ever need to do a 3-person Yeti, but it is possible.
That's the plan we originally had when we originally started podcasting, was we'll have 3 Yetis and I'll talk into them. It was great.
But there was no need to have it in the same room. My point is the only reason we need to have it is if like it would literally need to be like the Yeti would be cool if like we were doing a 3-person remote podcast.
Please stop that, Sam.
All right, hold on. I'm going to go tell them something.
Are your earphones too loud? I turned it up a little because my headphones I think quieter than yours.
Yeah. This is as loud as I can do. So.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh my God, Nisekoi.
Oh, of course you left it on.
Don't worry, it could be worse. I should put Love Stage on. That's a thing that my life needs is more Love Stage.
I'm gonna see what David thinks about all this.
What?
What we've been talking about.
Oh, Love Stage or Boku no Pico?
No, creative projects.
Oh, well,
And I'm gonna dump it all in his head at once and see what he says.
that's the thing you can do. But I would recommend instead we just organize some type of like Boku no Pico marathon. Boku no Pico.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're going to
Not bring up that on the podcast ever?
No, exactly the opposite. I want to record us having that discussion and then throw that on the end of this podcast as a tag that may be like 10 minutes long.
Okay.
Because I actually think it's a really interesting discussion.
God damn it. God damn it. Okay.
We got to make sure that David has read that. I got to go look at the actual post. Let me go find that.
Oh my God. That post is so first drafty. It makes my eyes bleed.
Ow. My hands.
Get good.
Used to be good, but years of constant typing have destroyed my hands.
All right, they're going to try, but they shouldn't talk that much. But Sarah knows.
All right, I have two questions, David. First of all, did you read the thing that Sam wanted to ask about?
Not yet, because my plans got kind of messed up. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then you were like, we're going to be a while. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go eat. And then I had to do some other stuff.
Yeah, we get it.
Okay.
Oh, actually, hilariously, this is funny. Matt, in fact, got 2 Yetis for Christmas.
Why?
Because he wanted a Yeti, and so Sarah Ann got him one, and his mom got him one, and they didn't talk to each other.
Is Matt Yetiing for things besides for blogging for podcasting with you guys, or is Matt like doing?
No, he got the Yeti because he used the Yeti, our Yeti for Extra Life, and so he realized he got it for. But it was just funny. I actually told him I was tempted to like trade him our old Yeti and pay him like a difference to get the newer Yeti.
Yeah. What do you say to that?
Well, he has 2, so why would he fucking care?
Let's see.
What was the second question?
Hold on, I'm trying to find this thing so that because I actually didn't actually read it. Sam just told me about it.
Fine, I'll read it right now.
It'll be towards the ending thing after all the gifts.
I thought I was reading. I thought I was going to read it because I I have to like actually focus. Did you not? You've posted the notes, right?
No. Probably I should have done that at some point. I'm just gonna.
One job.
I have like 5 jobs, so shut up.
I will be in LA after ALA, so I'm going to go to ALA with Rob and Chris, and then Rob will drop me off at.
For how long?
I will. For how long will I be in LA, or how long will I be in ALA?
In fucking definite is how long he's going to be in LA. His plan is to stay in LA until Abbott buys him a ticket to somewhere else.
So wait, you're actually going to do that. And so all the stuff about how like for your sake of living in Austin, that's a bad idea. You just went, fuck it. Want to see how long it takes your friends to kick you out of their houses?
No, specifically, I want to go to ALA, and I just don't. I would be very surprised if it takes me longer than a week for Abbott to have another gig for me, because since they're not firing me and they like want me to do things, like it'll be like 2 or 3 days, because I'm on the Monday I'm going.
But on the offhand, but wouldn't it make more sense on the offhand chance for you to do it for you just to suck it up because you have money, pay for a goddamn plane ticket, and try to live in Austin for once?
I did that around Christmas, and the fact that I'm coming to ALA.
That was the holidays. That doesn't count.
Oh, but I tried so hard. But anyway, also I need to be in LA anyway because my doctor in Austin won't vaccinate me the way I want. So I'm gonna go to the travel clinic I use. And
What do you mean they won't vaccinate you the way they want?
he's like, "You're too old to get the HPV vaccine," and I'm like, "I haven't fucked anyone in years. I don't have that virus because the entire CDC guidelines about maximum age assume people are by age or sexually active more than I am." And he's like, he's like, "You only need 2," and I'm on my phone. Nope, I need 3. I'll just be in LA. I'll just pay someone at a travel clinic to give me this vaccine anyway. It'll be fine.
Hold on, Sam's cutting out a lot.
So I turn to look at Nisekoi sometimes, and when I turn towards the mic, you hear me, and when I turn towards the Nisekoi, you don't.
Sam,
Stop. Turn off the Nisekoi.
God damn it.
you've literally just proved you couldn't handle that.
God damn it, but it's so
Like-
pretty.
Absolutely just failed.
He can't hear you. He's doing it now.
God damn it.
Looking for.
So down towards the end, he starts talking about Crunchyroll Funimation.
Also, just so we're clear, you're also cutting out when you talk, okay?
How's this? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. How's this? Does it sound like I'm cutting out?
How am I sounding?
You're fine.
Now you cut out like weird again. This is just
Right. So that's no. That is the difference between me facing the mic and turning, because I have the mic on the figure 8, so we both have to face it very tightly.
That's only useful if okay, that makes sense.
Because there's 2 of us. So I'm looking at my laptop when it sounds like I'm cutting out.
Okay. Is this the Boku no Pico joke?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first question is, do you get the joke? Because
I haven't seen Boku no Pico, but I assume it's some terrible thing making them watch Boku no Pico and then die inside because Boku no Pico.
A, click the link, because just click the link first. And then B, once you've clicked the link, it's important to note that for like the past 7 years or something on 4chan, as a meme, if you ask for an anime recommendation, the only recommendation anyone would give you is Boku no Pico.
Yeah, it's the terrible one about the fucking like 11-year-old dating
the older man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. I don't know why you want to be a dick, but sure. It's not inherently evil.
I mean, linking to it isn't, or Boku no Pico isn't, because Boku no Pico is pretty bad.
Maybe don't link to it.
I'm looking at the mal. It's fine.
So I was like struggling with this last night because I was like, well, the equivalent would be like linking to an IMDb page for like a snuff film or child porn. And I don't know how I would feel about that either. I was very conflicted when he asked me this. But if you don't link to it,
then
I don't care.
What?
No, it is. It's just if people who get it, get it. People who don't get it, we're not evil because we're not 4chan.
But if you reference,
so unfortunately, Sam, the joke.
Well, here's my question. If you reference something,
I understand.
Can I finish?
I understand, and I'm saying sometimes I don't give a fuck about that. We just don't link to it.
Can I
Make them
finish
search for it themselves if they don't. Fine.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay. If you mention something like that but don't link it, you are encouraging people who don't know about it to Google it anyway. And if our idea is not to send people there, then we shouldn't link it or mention it.
Hold on. You're still cutting out. Were you like turning while you did that?
Not a lot. How's that? Better?
I mean, yes, but it's hard.
Am I cutting it in and
can't
out?
tell you when it cuts in and out. So I mean, it may not matter because, like we said, you're just going to mix them together. So it may not. I mean, I just may not be able to hear you.
Yeah, but you need to be.
I don't think you had.
We need to be able to hear each other so that we can actually like do a conversation.
I mean, maybe for simplicity's sake, you guys just need to go back to lav mode and sit next to each other.
Well, we can try that. Which one is that?
If you think if that's what you think is the issue,
Just to
not lav, the parabolic one.
The heart.
Don't bark it. Just do a 360 degree.
Well, but then we're gonna get like the dog.
We'll get the dog anyway if the dog barks.
How's that, David? Is that better?
I mean, you can hear it, but don't do 360 degree. Do the fucking heart. The sound. I'm sorry, Sam.
Move over. I'm gonna come sit next to
Caillou.
Good Lord. I live with him. It doesn't mean I want to sit next to him.
My counter to that is I don't in principle have a problem with mentioning what it is. I don't care if other people go and find it. My conscience only cares if I'm actually helping them find it. If they do it themselves, that's their own decision.
I'm saying this is like the Louis C.K. argument over like nigger versus the N-word of like it's the same thing anyway, and I'm not sure that that's a meaningful distinction from a moral perspective.
My only question, David, is
my actual counter is it is to me, and that's all I actually care about. So I don't really give a fuck ass of other people.
But to be fair,
Sam's question, aside from is it good, is it funny?
Well, besides is it funny, my other question would be the link that we have is to its Mal page, which is not a place you can purchase it or a place you can stream it. It's a place to confirm that this isn't something I made up, and that's all it is. So like, there's no. I mean,
to me, that stuff doesn't really say anything. It's implied this is terrible and you sort of anime. I don't think the mouth thing actually accomplished anything either, except interesting. And so I just
give me 1 second and let me find if there is a good.
Would it be better if he described it instead of naming
No,
it?
that'd be much worse.
Yeah.
But, let me see if I can find some type of like.
Does the Clockwork Orange aspect of this bother you?
Of course not. That's the actual joke. If I did a Boku no Pico, you know your.
Why would I care about
that? Was my link. Was the
why would I care about the Clockwork Orange aspect?
I was actually about to ask that.
If I did the know your meme page for Boku no Pico, would that work better?
I don't know what's on that page.
Well, it's know your meme. You know what know your meme is. They got memes and knowing on there.
Like it's like this summary. Boku no Pico is a series.
That's what I wanted. What does it actually say?
Boku no Pico is a series of hentai shotokan. OVAs released by Natural High. Due to its explicit sex scenes and pedophile nature, it's often used as a troll suggestion to anime newcomers and as a shock video.
See, Sam, the problem is you're pushing me in the position of whether or not I want to do something 4chan does.
That was also one of my problems. Like this is a thorny issue, and I considered a lot of aspects of it last night, and that was also one of my problems because like I don't think that there's a huge like gulf of distinction between 4chan jokes and 4chan like sincerely awful stuff.
Just take it out, Sam. Figure out a different show to do it to it. I'm sorry, it's getting too complicated. I'm not feeling well. I don't want to have this moral discussion for the next 30 minutes.
Okay.
So really, Sam, your best bet would have been to not ask us at all and just try and sneak it past us.
Yeah, we'll see what I can find as a better show for that.
Because I probably would have let it go. Because you let Caillou make me actually think of the moral ramifications of it.
That's basically what I told him last night. I was like, you should learn your lesson because the more you make me think about the moral implications of any anime-related thing, the more I'm going to get upset.
If I was attached to the joke, it'd be different. But you know,
well, if you were that's the other reason.
I'm sure I can find something worse. To me, my big problem is it feels lazy. It's because I have seen shows that are worse, like ethically, than Boku no Pico. I just have a problem remembering them right now.
Why don't you just link to your own piece on the child awful show, unless that was Boku no Pico.
Which awful show?
The one you actually wrote about.
But that's not that.
Lovers isn't better.
You understand that at the end of that show, I'm like, I've watched all of this and I've read all of the manga and I want more. So like, you understand, like part of the end of that piece.
Also, just so we're clear, Super Lovers is not morally worse than Boku no Pico.
I didn't say it was, but it's more natural to link to something that he's done than it is to.
Besides, just have them link to the one about the high school daughter and the fifth grader because that show is terrible.
Whoa, My First Love Monster?
Yeah.
Look, it should just be Oriemo.
You should link to that one since they reverse the ages and they reverse the sexes of the people and watches people don't think it's a big deal because no one cares when it's the other way around. And it's a big moral
It should just be Oriemo.
Oh, that's also a problem. You do recently My Sister Unusual is also a problem.
Well, Imachu at least.
quite frankly, if you link them to days, I would also think that's morally reprehensible.
What's wrong with days? Wait, is that the soccer one?
That's the soccer one that reinforces the worst actual part of Japan, which is the fact that you sacrifice every part of your health and being to help your inconsequential high school team to marginally succeed at life.
Probably. I mean, let me see what I can find. I'll find something better than that.
How could you bring up Powerless without discussing that they retooled the entire show and now it takes place in like Wayne Enterprises?
Oh, they did do that, didn't they? Because I didn't actually realize that had happened until I read it, and then my brain just naturally assumed that was always going to happen because I never paid that much attention to it. You can certainly do that if you want.
It's literally like an insurance agency, right?
It's still an insurance agency. It's just now they work for Wayne, make it more DC.
It's George R. R. Martin, right? 2 R's?
See, I thought it was 2. Then I looked it up.
Sam?
And it was unclear. I guess it is, but I looked up one thing where it wasn't. It got very confusing.
I mean, even if it wasn't naturally, I assume it was just like an affectation because of Tolkien.
Sure, it's fine.
No, it's R. He's George Raymond Richard Martin.
No, like I said, like it was weird. I'm looking up now, and it actually works, but it actually was this bad. I remember I looked earlier, and it wasn't, and I was like, "What the hell? God damn it!"
So I'm just going to make this a January post. Is that okay?
You want this to just be our entire January post?
It's just for January post. We have our best ofs, and then I'm just gonna keep like futzing with it.
Let me think.
Sure.
Oh, David, how would you feel about if we mothballed the blog for like 3 months, wrote that superhero script, and then made it on the cheap in Austin?
Who's directing it?
I don't know. I will if that's okay, or we'll split it. Not the money, that's for sure. That's my only concrete answer to that question.
Ask me after the Oscars.
Okay. All right, I'm not going to finish these sentences now. Let's get a podcast.
Oh my gosh, this is just
What?
amazing.
I'll do them after that. I don't want to do it right now because there's no reason to. I don't have time or brain power to talk to you and edit them at the same time. Like I'm not going to sit here and like write a recommendation.
Well, that's okay. You can't really. It's okay. Most people are really bad at thubbing, so it's fine.
At thubbing?
Yes, that is the derogatory term for trying to talk to somebody when they're trying to make someone talk when they're watching or writing something at the same time.
Yeah, we've been over this. We've been over how not good I am at that.
Yeah. Most people aren't. I am mainly the exception to this. And I'm not great at it. I'm just not terrible at it.
Can I embed a YouTube video as a featured image?
No.
A YouTube video? No,
you cannot do that.
Because the YouTube video... Sam, think about this very carefully as to why you can't do that.
I want it to automatically play like for the hour-long thing it is, doing the loop of Ferris's Grand Canyon.
I'm fairly certain you can make, if you want to make it into
I'm
a GIF.
absolutely certain you might be able to. You can certainly do GIFs. There might, in some way, because you're uploading a thing, it's possible that you could upload a video file, but you definitely can't.
You literally can't do a YouTube. You literally can't be a YouTube clip. Is what I'm pointing. That's
so
why I'm
if I
trying to
strip
say.
the clip from YouTube and then upload an hour-long.
The answer
video.
to that might be, but probably is not yes. The answer for that YouTube clip is never in life.
No, don't worry. That's Cutie Panther. It's Ferris's Grand Canyon.
My point is that you can if it's just the file, it's possible. You just definitely can't do, like you literally can't open it. It's like a YouTube file.
It'd be this clip.
Do you hold on, Sam? I have to. Caillou, how are you getting money for said thing in Austin?
That seems like a secondary consideration.
Really not.
We were going to crowdfund things in LA. We were just going to make Milani do it. That needs to not happen.
I mean, it's possible. As long as the answer, I mean, it's possible as long as, I mean, because keep in mind, if any version of this ends up being, oh, we're going to put our own money in, my answer is no. unless David's financial situation changes in the near future.
Well, I don't think that's the answer to it.
So,
I also think like the actual important part is to write the thing and then.
No, I actually disagree with us specifically. That is not the most important thing.
Uh-huh.
I need to have assurances that there are things in place that I will, in fact, especially considering if I write this, I'm choosing not to write other things, that this will actually get made.
Uh-huh.
So,
well, that's up to us, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying I don't. If this is kind of my point, we need someone else who does producing stuff. I don't trust us. You know how I don't trust us? As Sam has pointed out, and he's corrected. You know, the one project we've ever actually done, we said we were going to do a blog.
Yeah, and it's a great blog. You should be proud of this blog.
Yeah, but you want to know why the blog was the one we picked? It's the least hard one to do.
Anyway, are we? What are we talking about?
All right. I have it written out. It's going to go similar to how it went last year. Talk about. We're just going to do movies, TVs. I'll see what the time is. We might briefly discuss anime, but it will not get. It will be very, very brief, and will not have anywhere near the in-depth stuff we do with the other things. Mm-hmm. Basically, we're going to do what we did last year. So it's like watch a movie, worst experience. Like we're not going to do things like literal best and. If you, in your discussion of whatever you discuss, if you wish to mention that, you can, but I'm not going to actually have a segment on those.
You're not going to have a segment on what?
Like, we're not going to have a segment say like, what was the best film you watched this last year? It's just going to be like, doing more considered. You know, if you, in the discussion, if I'm like, what was your best experience? Or some other discussion you bring up, that's perfectly fine. I figure that we'll do most surprising movie you saw this year. And then if there's any like hidden gem you saw from this year that you want to talk about, so do that. Or that could be whatever you want. It could be a bigger movie that you thought was better than other people did, whatever. We'll do an in-out thing for a couple things we did last year.
You have those ready?
I have a couple in. Yep.
Okay, cool.
I do. Though one of them only, the problem with one of them is, Sam, have you seen La La Land?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we might still be able to do this one, but we'll see.
Musicals, Damien Giselle.
It's for
Ryan Gosling.
It's for Emma Stone. I'm not doing Ryan Gosling because no, I would. But my point is, there's no reason to do Ryan Gosling because like he didn't do something bad this year to make that a statement worth debating. It's like Ryan Gosling. It's like in. All right, moving on.
All right, are we ready to start?
TV is going to be basically the exact same thing. TV is going to be basically the exact same thing, also with in-outs, but same basic broad topics. If we get to anime, that's the one exception. That's literally just going to be like, you'll do a trash thing and Sam and I can briefly mention we thought was the best show we watched. Okay. That we will do. And then a hidden gem as well. You know, one you think you should watch, people should watch. But that's going to depend on time because this is already going to go long, but we can't do two of these because there's no way in hell, we can. The only way we can do two of these is if you want to. I guess we could theoretically edit it and just put two up at once, two separate ones, like 2 weeks apart.
Well, let's just see how it goes.
All right. Hold on, I've got to change my Hangout settings. Yeti. Okay, are you guys fighting a bear?
I wouldn't call it fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Did a bear come in and kill you both?
What are you talking about?
Don't worry. You'd hear multiple gunshots during that struggle.
I don't think. Did you get your gun set up properly? So there's a gun by you at every place, so you can shoot a bear, or did Caillou not let you do that?
Caillou isn't aware of that having happened in the house yet.
Oh, okay.
I fucking am now. So
It's already been done though, Caillou. What can you do about it now?
Can you
find them
find?
and unload them.
Can you find the holdout guns?
Do you know how to use guns well enough to do that properly, Caillou?
Any gun I can't figure out fairly quickly will be like discovered and thrown in the garbage.
So you're gonna throw a loaded gun into the garbage? That's safe.
Safer for me.
Is it? When the
Do you know
hobo
how
comes and
guns
steals a
work?
gun out of your garbage and shoots you?
It's not a good idea, actually.
It's so terrible of an
I mean,
idea. I can't even
That's
express it.
colloquial. I will place it gently in the garbage because I don't want to jar the tree.
Oh my god. Wow. Hearing someone who knows nothing about guns talk about disposing guns is actually really amusing. Wow.
I'm still trying to find some decent frangibles, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they won't sell them to me in stores here. I have to have them mail ordered, which is weird.
Wait, they won't sell you something in Texas? Or is it just Austin?
The stores will sell them if they had them. The problem is that
Oh,
most
they're like out of stock.
most people don't want this, and so most people who want this order online.
This was not a great year for board games. And I can tell because I played like a good half dozen of the top like 20.
Okay. Should be good, I think. I sound fine, right?
You're close enough. We'll be fine.
But okay.
Get good. Let's go.
That
Get good.
No.
how you question.
I mean, well, I don't know. Talking again.
Okay. How am I sounding? Do I need to fuck with my mic settings?
They're fine.
You were better at the end of that sentence than the beginning. Did you like lean forward a little bit?
I did exactly what I did before, but let me try centering my mic more. How about now?
Lean in a little.
There's a limit to how much I can lean in, Caillou. Hold on. Let me get a bunch of books to stack so it's closer to me.
Okay. Put it right up in your grill.
Because I'm in my room, and I'm not going to just lean down towards a mic just for your fucking benefit.
I feel like that could be exercise. You like podcast while you're working out.
I have other exercises I can do while I'm working out. They're much more effective for different things. Okay, how's this?
Better. Yeah, you ready to record on your Audacity?
I will be in 1 second.
Oh, David, I got new glasses.
Yeah, you said you were getting the
Hipster frames?
and hipster frames, right? Yeah.
That was the plan.
You're getting your haircut when you're in LA, right?
I might get bored in North Carolina and see if I can find a sassy black lady to cut my hair again. Maybe I can find the same one who did my Darius haircut.
Are you going to get your hair cut in an anime way again for the anime convention?
Probably not. I probably am just going to try to do something that makes me look like a 20-something hipster. I'm already there. Pierced ears, the glasses. Just I'm not sure.
And you moved to Austin.
Yeah, I did move to Austin. I'm not sure if I should rock the beard or if I should go clean shaven. But
I told him he should rock the beard with these glasses. But if he doesn't do the beard, then he should ask his barber for the Rachel Maddow.
I don't know. With your haircut as it is now, your beard's a little weird because, I guess it depends how old you want to look.
I don't know. How old should I look?
I mean, before, the reason your beard made you look so much younger is because you had the hair of an 18-year-old. So when you shaved off the beard, it made you look like that. Now I feel like without a beard, you probably just look like your actual age, and with the beard, you look a little older.
Okay.
Do you want to be Grizzly Adams hipster or just Rachel Maddow hipster?
I mean, they're both really tempting, actually.
Look, the other obvious question is, in your limited interactions with people on dating sites, what have people responded more to?
Do you have a scientific test case control group?
I don't have a tested control group is the problem is, so I'll have to
Well, no, the obvious
clear
answer
answer
is
is to go my beard out, take pictures with the beard, then shave
yes,
it in LA.
that is my actual answer to you, because you don't have any pictures with your beard, so you should just grow it out to take pictures with the beard so you can see if those help.
So that you can do randomized trials where you swap out your pictures and after a certain period of time.
No.
See,
I have accounts.
See, I have to. No, you don't have 2 accounts.
You'll never duplicate across both accounts.
No, you can do 2 accounts, but I constantly try to have to make sure I have a combination of beard looks, because I'm never going to be not lazy enough to be clean shaven all the time. So that can't be an expectation.
Sweet. So, best of the year.
Sam?
Did you try watching News Story again?
No, now he's just fiddling with scissors because he's bored. I'm trying to move them away from him so he can't.
Maybe you should make my life less boring, not remove the thing that I'm using to make this boring. Let me podcast.
All right, I am recording now.
Maybe you guys shouldn't have gotten lost at an Asian buffet. That's all I'm going to say.
We didn't get lost. We were hanging out.
So the year is 2017.
So I got
the podcast.
Okay, so it's recording. Do we need to do the sync things, Caillou, or are we good?
Yeah, let's do that. 1, 2,
3, 4,
5, 6.
You are no longer necessary. Sam,
you're there. You can't.
You can't be out of sync with me. I'm sorry. It's not possible.
I will prove that wrong.
Oh God! So you're gonna be? Are you just gonna act behind the beat on purpose just to make it look like there's a sync issue?
David, I would never do that.
Okay, this is gonna be fun.
You Luckily, you can't actually do that because my editing system will automatically cut out all silences and reduce them to the same amount. So you'll just piss off us.
I knew that, which is why I was just going to let him do it. It couldn't actually hurt the podcast.
No, because it would make me kill him, because that would be boring to me.
But that would help the podcast, because there'd be violence in the middle of it. And then suddenly it would just be me talking to myself. Or presumably, which one of you emerged victorious, either Sam emerges and we just start talking about anime and video games, or you emerge and I guess, I don't know, talk about things.
I'll just find one of his secret guns and throw it at him.
And then he'll catch it and shoot you with it, because Sam knows how to use guns.
Are we good to go?
Yep. All right.
Banter complete. Check.
Well, now that you told me it's complete, we have to have more. So, okay. Hello and welcome to the Life in the Kraken podcast, your dose of pop culture deep within the belly of the beast. I'm your host, Taylor Robertson, editor-in-chief of We've Always Lived in the Kraken blog. Alongside me, I have joining from the Austin office, also from the same. God damn it. I had it.
So I'm no longer alongside you.
Well, it's in spirit.
Joining us from the Austin branch.
Don't tell me. Look, I do what I want. Fuck you.
And when you do it right, I don't complain.
Well, see, now I'm going to say alongside you in spirit. Well, now I'm doing the opposite, so fuck off.
Well, then I'm going to make a spooky ghost noise.
Okay, whatever you want to do. Hello and welcome to the Life in the Kraken podcast, your dose of pop culture deep within the belly of the beast. I'm your host, David Robertson, editor-in-chief of We've Always Lived in the Kraken blog. Spirit, but also really in the Austin office, managing editor of the same blog, Josh Kayusewicz.
Ooh, I'm a spirit.
And also special contributor, Sam Kenkel.
After the Courage of Colossus mastery was added, Nautilus has been a significantly stronger force in the top lane because of his various types of C, which allow him to proc it fairly often, which allow him to go in both in team fighting and in trades.
And there you go, people. Once again, the one League of Legends reference you will get in this podcast. Now we must burn Sam to remind him not to say it again. So
I'm going to replace that with like a clip from the Scooby-Doo theme song. That's my new go-to replacement for you.
That was not offensive.
No,
it didn't involve having sex with young boys. It didn't involve Boku no Pico. Therefore, you have no right to replace it.
I'm the editor.
Don't replace that, Caillou. Caillou, don't do that.
Uh-huh.
We will don't do that.
Reserve replacing stuff for when I actually go off the rails, not for when I do things that are still within the mission statement of this blog.
That is not within the mission statement of this blog.
Disagree.
It kind of is.
Can you name the mission statement of this blog?
Yes, we're delving the depths of pop culture to mining it as a type of weird, like, sea creature of things in order to bring these awful aspects of subculture to the forefront of our readers' brains.
I see where we've been having some disconnects. We're gonna have to talk.
He's
about
not
this after the podcast.
he's not entirely wrong about that. You're also somewhat not entirely right about it. I've always assumed it's been in the middle, which is why I'm the editor.
What Sam is saying is basically like the Dwarves of Moria going, our goal is to find a Balrog. The bigger, flamier Balrog we can find, the better.
That is
Right, which is
pretty
why
much
he's
what
not-
I do with my anime
he's
stuff.
not
Yes, I'm looking
entirely
for the Balrog of
correct.
anime.
He's not entirely correct. I'm just saying he's not entirely wrong.
The point
So,
is, I'm watching
is that a plane on?
again.
Is that a plane on your side?
No,
is it my
there are no planes on our side. Planes haven't been invented in Texas yet. We
Because-
just pretend so we don't feel bad.
We have guns and we can shoot, and we shoot things in the air.
Doesn't Sam live by the airport?
Airport, quote unquote.
Look,
Okay.
I ride a goat to school. It's cool.
Yeah, he takes a very fast horse when he needs to go to Los Angeles.
Okay. So
This is gold, David, gold.
it's 2017, which, amongst other things, means we are finally done with 2016. But because we hate ourselves, we're going to go back one more time and discuss, hopefully the good times from 2016, at least from a pop culture perspective. Mainly from the perspective of movies, television, and we'll see where else this takes us.
Community had it right. 2016 was the gas leak year. We should all just forget it and move on.
Well, I can't forget all of it. Some things happened that were important. But, if you are a sports fan, yeah, just burn it all to the ground.
Sports? Is that like
Yeah,
a thing with the ball and the points?
Yes, that is a thing that describes pretty much all sports.
Sometimes there's mice and keyboards and underfed teenagers as well.
You're describing
there's-
gold farming, which is a sort of digital sweatshop, not a sport.
No, there's the thing he's
Right.
describing. He is correct about there's points. There's just not balls. There's kind of balls, I guess, not the same.
Rihanna's great that way.
Yeah. So first we're going to start with
into the mic, not into your phone, please.
what?
That is to Sam.
Okay. So first we're going to talk about movies, kind of as we did the last time. Hold on one second. Should we have said this is like the second? I don't care. Fuck it.
What's going on?
You could say it now. Just say it briefly.
Okay. So we will begin our second annual edition of the best ofs for this podcast. And first we will start with movies. So we're not going to get into like specifics of, I mean, if you wish you can at some point, but of like what your like literal favorite movie or best movie was, but like what was your best experience this year in a movie theater, seeing a movie, however you want to define it. And Sam, why don't you go first?
Well, R-rated Deadpool actually coming out, not being a myth, not being an idea, not being an unproduced screenplay, was a really good thing to see. I love seeing Kubo. I always love all the LitK work. I love seeing them progress that. Honestly, I liked most of the superhero films this year. You know, I like Suicide Squad. I like that Bats v Soups. I like Civil War. So I like Doctor Strange. So the fact that, like, for me at least, all the superhero films kind of hit was useful, given that superhero films are kind of all movies are these days.
So your best experience is apparently 12 of them. Caillou, do you have one that was in fact maybe not 12?
If you're going to talk on your phone, put the phone here so that you're more into the microphone. That's all I'm saying, Sam.
Yes.
My favorite movie experience of the year was watching Swiss Army Man on a plane and trying to explain it to the normal woman beside me who was like, what the fuck are you watching?
Yeah, it's true. I guess would she just turn and constantly be seeing Paul Dano holding the dead body of Daniel Radcliffe?
Well, so I got through the first like scene or two, where it just like basically like just past the titles, and she was like, "Oh, you're watching a movie. What are you watching?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's a movie about a guy who's like shipwrecked and he finds a dead body, and the dead body like farts and helps him escape." and I think after that point, she made a point to like turn away from me for the rest of the flight. So I don't know if she actually saw any over my shoulder. But my other favorite movie experience of the year was like was watching Godzilla Resurgence or Shin Godzilla, and having to watch it like 5 minutes at a time because it was so dense. I had to keep pausing and coming back to it.
In terms of experience, I think I need to actually do a better answer because I saw both the Kizu Monogatari films, which the experience of going to one of the 10 theaters in LA in the United States, which had this being surrounded by, I'm going to call them my people, and seeing this like legendary film that one of the greatest directors of the medium has been secluding himself working on since 2009, to like interesting. I've talked about before in terms of like what anime can be, should be, and might be again now that this director has been released from this hellish trilogy.
All right, fair enough. My experience is going to be of a similar vein to Sam's, though not the same movie, and that would be seeing Kodo Shinkai's Your Name at Anime Expo. Some similar reasons, seeing like a movie that pretty much no one else has really had a chance to see. It eventually got a small like run for like a week in Los Angeles.
It's the number one 2D animated film of all time in China right now. It is. The director now says in interviews, "Please stop watching it. I'd like to make other movies, and they won't let me stop doing press until it stops winning awards." I believe is what he's saying in interviews now. He's telling people to stop watching it.
He's telling people to stop watching it. I don't know what he expected when he finally decided to make a movie that wasn't sad. This is what's going to happen. So. But yeah, that film was just like gorgeous, like being around other fans, specifically of a director and a type of movies, like that helped the experience, like everyone's reactions.
Being in the audience secretly watching us was pretty cool.
Yeah, him actually being there and coming to talk to us afterwards. I mean, it was just like a really fun experience, and it definitely fit with the idea that it definitely fit with the like just this idea of things you can do sometimes that are not like experiences you don't get to do just like whenever you want. And seeing this movie, especially considering as it kind of now that like award seasons happen, I kind of had to laugh when like it won like the LA Critics for Best Animated Film award, and I kept joking that that's because only the LA Critics had actually seen this movie, so no one else has. So yeah, it was fun to see something and like Sam be on a hipster range of I've seen something, and now when it comes out for people next year, I'll just be like scoffing.
Can I also say my favorite movie experience of the year was also not seeing but learning about 100 Years of the Movie You'll Never See, a movie written and starred in by John Malkovich, directed by Robert Rodriguez, was completed and then sealed in a safe that was exhibited at the 2016 ConFest and will not be released until November 18th, 2115. At which point the film will premiere to 1,000 guests around the world, or rather 1,000 guests were given an invitation that were handed down to their descendants who will attend the premiere. I haven't obviously seen it, but the sheer fact that it exists is like the best like conceptual art piece that I've seen in a while. So that's pretty great.
So what you're saying is we need to figure out how to become Philip J. Fry and freeze ourselves, but only for like 100 years instead of like 1,000.
Either that, or we have to heist this movie, which I think is also a movie.
Do they have a clause in their contract like the Wu-Tang Clan did, where it's okay?
Only Bill Murray is allowed to help them.
Yeah,
I feel like. See, the thing is about that clause is that he didn't have to say that Bill Murray is legally allowed to heist that, because I believe that anything Bill Murray heisted, people would just smile and go, "Well, it's Bill Murray," and they wouldn't prosecute him for it.
Well, I think they had to do that specifically because they were afraid of who might buy it. And considering the dude body is the worst. Yeah. So I guess he kept his promise when Trump became president. He played track. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
So,
well, that's probably what swung the voters in Wisconsin and so on.
Totally. I mean, I feel like in Wisconsin,
it's worth Trump. I agree.
You know, I mean, that's probably the argument he made. Well, speaking of things that are the worst, hold on. I'm gonna try. I'm having to play this because it's so close. It's gonna clip a little more than normal Caillou, just so you know. Trying to
What is it?
this, but like
What are you doing?
I'm saying my voice like has been clipping a little bit, so
Okay.
you're gonna see a couple places where it's definitely happened because it's kind of so close to me.
Okay.
Okay, let's try that. Okay. And speaking of things that are the worst, we'll now transition from our best experience, or I guess in both of your case, since you didn't understand the instruction, random experiences that apparently become the best overall. We're now going to go on to the worst experience you guys had this year. So, Caillou, why don't you go start once again? And when you list 12 of them, just tell me now so we can get it over with.
Well, I'm definitely listing 12.
Okay.
Number 1, Batman v Superman. Just the point towards the end where you were just like, this is like the stupidest fucking movie. And then, I don't know, the worst thing I actually saw this year was the Ratchet and Clank movie, which I only saw because I love the Ratchet and Clank games. I felt a weird sense of obligation, but it's not a movie. It's just a 90-minute cutscene.
Oh, wow. You've seen it. That's an animated film I haven't seen.
Yes, I did in fact watch that. It's a 90-minute cutscene that inexplicably has like people like John Goodman in like minor roles. Like all the main roles are the voice actors from the game because obviously all the chillin' know the same characters from the game and they want to see in the movie theater. But all the side characters are filled with like amazing voice actors who are just given like tiny shitty parts. Other than that, the worst experience I had was watching Genius, which is a really god-awful like Oscar bait that failed to bait in the Oscars movie about this guy who edited like Tom Wolfe and Look Homeward Angel and all that. And it was just like terrible accents, terrible movie. And it was just nothing made me angrier this year than how just like shitty that movie was compared to even like how interesting the actual real story behind these people are. And it featured like Jude Law doing like the worst Southern accent I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, Jude Law's made a kind of history of doing really terrible Southern accents, so that's not entirely that surprising. Sam, do you have experience?
My worst experience.
Talk about that you hated.
I'm in Fresno, California, which is a hellmouth. And a few hours earlier, I've been told that there is a loaded Glock 21 next to me, which is the front room gun, which I am to draw if someone comes in at night, because apparently someone is trying to kill my host in Fresno. I decided to drink heavily and begin watching Fantastic Four on my tablet. So if you're asking,
that doesn't count. It has to be we had the Fantastic Four discussion last year.
You asked me my worst experience watching movies this year.
That's
the experience fair. Of every noise might be someone coming to kill me. I have to do a gunfight. I am drinking and I have a headache, but I have to keep drinking to deal with the fact of my situation. And also, there's this Fantastic Four in front of me.
Let me get this straight. You thought you could die at any moment, and your choice for your last moments on Earth was to watch the movie some have dubbed Fan-Four-Stick?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Well, okay, so not counting that, let's go with things that were from this year, Sam.
Okay, so I'm on an airplane, and I got like 4 hours of sleep the night before, and I decide I should watch a movie. It's time to watch the new Jason Bourne film. I can say that as a cinematic great. I would watch it on something bigger than the size of your palm and maybe not have it pause every 7 minutes because the system is rebooting. Because whatever narrative flow that film has, Paul Greengrass's shaky cam is supposed to be in the experience of being there with Jason Bourne, not like, nope, back to Delta, like welcome, we're glad you're here logo. So I have done a better job this year of generally avoiding in theaters things that are not going to be decent because I just don't see the films in theaters anymore. So all of my awful experiences were either tablet experiences or plane experiences.
The Jason Bourne was non-watchable, let me point out. The problem with that was watching anything on an airplane on your phone.
my phone doesn't freeze every 7 minutes. It was on I think United's
the back of the seat thing.
The back of the seat thing, which was,
yeah, that's also like the worst place to see a movie.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So like I'm actually trying to figure this out right now because I didn't really see anything truly terrible this year. And all the things that I've been meaning to see that are terrible, I haven't actually seen yet. I feel like the answer to this would be if I go and watch Collateral Beauty, or Passengers, but I haven't seen either of those yet.
David, you've just got to embrace the collateral beauty.
Yeah, that's yeah. So
I will say I saw like an early release test version of Incarnate like a year and a half ago. And I don't know if they improved the movie, but if they didn't, that was the worst movie of 2016.
I guess I would go with the only two things I can kind of think of would be that since we're all cheating anyhow, whatever. The weird experience I had watching Fantastic Beasts and sitting there going, well, I'm really glad we're back in the Harry Potter world. They know how to use her well, and then wondering what the fuck was going on in this movie. And this is what happens when apparently you take a script and then combine another script, and then by the end of it, it's a script that was supposed to be about one character, and it now is a 5-story epic about Grindelwald. Things tend to happen with your movie, so that was fun. Especially is
this was
I literally just said the problem is I'm fairly certain that the answer is going to be when I see Passengers, but I haven't seen it yet.
I'm just saying this is like 2016 was not a good year for a lot of things, but it was a great year for movies totally ruined by studio interference.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other answer I could think of is I actually still kind of enjoyed it, but watching the sequel to Snow White and the Huntsman could have been really good, but was actually 3 movies combined into one movie because it was supposed to be a prequel. Then eventually they clearly took what was going to be the sequel to the original Snow White and just kind of took some of that storyline. And then they also added in what would have been the 3rd movie in this trilogy into it. And not surprisingly that didn't
Zoolander 2 come out this year?
Yes.
It did, but I didn't see it. That's another example.
I saw Zoolander 2. That was from sheer quality perspective, Zoolander 2 was absolutely a worse film than both Fantastic Four and Jason Bourne were. But I saw it in an environment where it didn't stop halfway through. I wasn't afraid for my life, and there weren't people falling to the ceiling. So the experience wasn't as bad. But holy shit, Zoolander 2 was awful.
I don't think you grasped the nuances of this question, Sam.
I mean,
talking about the actual watching of the film itself, what the film did, not the surrounding. I happen to break my arm while watching the movie. Doesn't make the movie.
No, I'm okay with this as long as it's from this year. Look, it's fine because my other answer is going to be because this actually was also some of my favorite experience of the year, but also was the worst was. After years of trying, I finally was able to successfully pull off being the only person in a movie theater during a movie.
What'd you see?
My entire life, but it was 4 Rules Don't Apply. And half of Rules Don't Apply is a tolerable movie. The other half, Warren Beatty decides to go full Howard Hughes and things get a little weird.
Did rules eventually apply or what?
I don't know, man.
How have we discussed this and not discussed Kingsglaive yet?
Yeah, but Kingsley was amazing to watch in theaters. That was a bad experience would just be a lie.
I mean, I played the point in Final Fantasy 15 where Kingsglaive happened, and then I stopped playing 15 and then watched Kingsglaive, and I can say that I wish I had seen Kingsglaive in theaters several months ago with you assholes, as opposed to seeing it alone on Christmas Eve. But
I wish I could have been drunk when I watched it, so we can't all get what we want. So,
okay,
I remember vividly what happens in that movie, but still as bad as that movie was, I got to enjoy seeing it with other people, and that's the problem with Rules Don't Apply. Eventually, when the film went off the rails, it was the downside of being the only person in the theater. I had no one to vent this confusion with.
Also, Kingsglaive is not really a movie for those listening at home. It's a series of things that happen with some vague passing resemblance to FF15. It doesn't really have an act structure or character motivations, but there is sweet sword magic and punching and a bunch of flashbacks and forwards to FF15.
So, except for the word FF15, you could be describing X-Men Apocalypse, which was also a really bad movie this year.
Yeah, but I didn't have nearly as many issues with that movie as most people did. The other one I guess I could bring up is when I saw Red Turtle at AFI, when it came clear to me this movie was in fact going to go in the most obvious direction in existence. And I spent the rest of me being really pissed about this, while everyone else in the theater was like, this is amazing. That was kind of terrible. So
I feel like I feel like both that I should complain about Ghostbusters here, but I also know it was entirely my fault for watching it, so maybe I don't deserve to complain about Ghostbusters.
I enjoyed that. I watched that with my dad. We had a great time. You guys are just haters. That's all I'm going to say. So,
Yes, I'm just a person who hates things that are bad. I'm sorry.
Well, you hate things, yeah, but you don't.
Why didn't one of us jump on the fucking grenade and watch 9 Lives for this part? Someone was supposed to watch. Like, I recommended 9 Lives,
right? Which made it your job. You brought
and
this to
also,
our attention.
We didn't let you recommend 9 Lives because you did not recommend 9 Lives. You recommended the trailer for 9 Lives.
Right, but he brought it up to us personally, which made it his job to follow through.
So for the readers, I do now recommend watching the trailer for 9 Lives for at least 2 hours in one sitting. You're wondering what exactly course of events led the actors involved to do that. Because apparently it was originally a like serious drama that they changed into a comedy later, which is why your like PG comedy has an Act 3 plot point about the cat trying to prevent his kid from killing himself.
All right, then.
You need to watch the
I also have to say
that trailer to 9 Lives, but every time someone says the word cat, the trailer to 9 Lives plays again.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I also have to bring up that there's a good chance that the answer to this question might end up being Assassin's Creed when I get around to seeing it. So, there's high hopes. I have high hopes for a couple movies being the worst experience from 17.
It's called Ass Creed for a reason.
Yeah. So
that's ass class is a word. Don't take that word.
Look, Assassin's Creed is the movie that accidentally got Michael K. Williams to endorse terrorism on The Daily Show.
What?
So he was being interviewed
by
Trevor Noah, and he was basically trying to describe the plot of the movie, and he was like, "Well, there's the bad guys who want to control everything in the name of safety, and then there's the assassins who kill people in the name of freedom." And Trevor Noah was like, "Oh, so it's one of those morally gray things where both sides are bad." And Michael K. Williams is like, "No, the killers are the assassins are the good guys. The other guys are the bad guys. You got to do whatever you got to do."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're Pathfinder, what do you expect?
Okay, so I guess going off that we're going to kind of move on from this experience question, which has gone hilariously somewhat wrong, but well at the same time. So go us. To what was, I guess, the most surprised you were after seeing a movie? Whether that's because if you want to, you can tie this into being surprised in a good or bad way, but just something you thought was better than it was, or you most likely thought was better than it should be, but whatever. Your most surprising thing you saw this year.
Suicide Squad. I saw that, and nothing can prepare me for the experience of everyone says this is like 2 movies cut together. So Suicide Squad literally is 2 movies cut together. They're literally 2 competing movies that they are just kind of cutting back and forth between, because they're 2 legitimate cuts, one by the director, one by a trailer house, that are emphasizing different things, different tones, different thematics. And so I had used that as a figure of speech in the past. And I was also surprised walking out that, because both of those movies were interesting in different ways, I enjoyed that movie. Despite being a thematic and structural mess, I enjoyed Suicide Squad a lot because both of its different individual movies spoke to me.
Does this include the Joker music video? Is it recounted as a movie, or is it the third?
That's a third film, and the Joker music video is an awesome music video. And if it didn't careen into the other 2 movies occasionally and derail their plots, I would have loved to see that as a 40-minute, direct to YouTube special. That was also pretty sweet.
By the way, I saw an amazing 35-minute breakdown of why Suicide Squad has incredibly bad editing in both a macro and micro sense on YouTube, and it was awesome. And I'm going to link it in the podcast notes and blog.
Okay.
But in the macro sense, don't take 2 cuts and jam them the fuck together. Have one cut or the other and pursue it. don't like have a director who does serious things and say, you know what, we really want a 90-minute music video, and when he says no, just go over his head and have a trailer house who made your trailer do their own cut, because that's what happened here.
My actual counter is don't let David Ayers do things, but people won't listen to me, and so this is going to keep happening because they trust David Ayers.
I mean, I agree with Sam. Like, whether or not David Ayers was the right choice or not, once you made David Ayers do this, you should just let David Ayers do what he wants to do.
Or you should lock him out, have it be an Alan Smithy film, and just use the trailer cut. Because apparently what happened is the studio.
That's what I would have done.
The studio.
They had two cuts. They
tested them and they tied, and so they jammed them together. If you test them and they tie, flip a fucking coin and pick one.
Yeah. Well, I guess to David Ayers' credit, since the next film he's going to get to make is in fact not the Suicide Squad sequel, but the weird Harlequin sort of sequel. It's called Sirens of something like that.
Sirens of
Gotham Sirens. Yeah. And so she was good, so maybe he can replicate it. Who knows? I have no faith in David Ayers at all. So
look, I'm excited in general for the industry trend where half of superhero movies now are team up movies where a bunch of guys team up. And then half of them are team-up movies where a bunch of girls team up, and we make sure to call those girl team-up go.
Cool. So now that sarcasm is out of the way. What was your most surprising moment, Kai?
I don't know. I'm being too sarcastic. I don't know. There wasn't a lot that actually surprised me this year because I was well informed of all the surprising things. Like, hey, here's Godzilla is amazing, or hey, these superhero movies are good / terrible. I don't know. The most surprising thing was the cameo at the end of Swiss Army Man. I keep going back to Swiss Army Man because Swiss Army Man is crazy and awesome. I don't know. I liked a Woody Allen film. I don't normally do that, especially when people don't like
Society.
it. Yeah,
people. That's not true. They just didn't universally like it. People liked it. Just not
I was surprised that Kizu Monogatari actually came out. Took him fucking 7 years, I think, to make these films. He's been doing a 3-movie trilogy for 7 years. It actually came out.
Yeah. We know Kizu stuff. Yeah.
No, wait. It was my most surprising thing was that Leica made a movie without any massive script problems.
Wait, who did?
Leica.
Leica. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good one. Mine probably is. There's a couple things to think of, but probably the biggest one was that I'm still surprised at how good Zootopia ended up being. Just because the marketing for it made it so feel like it was the B movie and Disney didn't care about, and now it's probably the movie they're actually pushing the most to win awards. So it's just kind of a. I
was surprised I didn't like that because it got so hyped.
If anyone is listening to this podcast at least 8 to 9 years in the future, I highly recommend you go for a graduate degree in psychology with the purpose of doing a study on what age seeing Zootopia had a statistically significant chance of increasing someone's predilection for being a furry.
If anyone's,
it's true. This is something. This is really important. Let's just be honest.
Well, I thought you were going to
feel better, Sam. Maybe I'll just do a story. Maybe that's just someone should do now. They'll start the study now and go for 10 years.
I thought you were going to study whether it actually impacted racial views among that age cohort, but that was a direction to go in. If anyone's listening to this podcast 100 years in the future, tell me how 100 years the film you'll never see is. I want to know. Tweet at me, thumbs up or thumbs down, at Inside the Kraken.
Okay, and as a secondary one, just because whatever, I would probably also say I was surprised at the fact that Pete's Dragon ended up being a good movie, which just never should have happened.
I was surprised to find in the second half of Pete's Dragon that I still had a heart.
Yeah, I mean, lots of surprises come from Pete's Dragon. I'm going to tell you, I'm still kind of surprised that they managed to pull that off. Even just as I was surprised that they made The Jungle Book a watchable movie. As long as you completely ignore how racist it is, it's fine.
I have yet to agree with that because I keep trying to watch The Jungle Book and I get 3 minutes further and then I turn it the fuck off. So I don't think they did make it watchable. What?
I think they did, but I think if you watch it in theaters, I think all the good parts of it are wasted. So,
Well, of course,
that
because once
for
you're
what
in
you will.
theaters, like you can't leave without losing your money.
But I mean, like the
You
visuals
walk into
also
a different
like
theater.
stand out more. Yeah, just walk in a different theater. Just do something illegal. It'll be fine.
I did start
Okay.
watching Legend of Tarzan, which I'm assuming is also surprisingly good but racist.
I've not heard that. Because it disappeared from theaters in like a week. So
It's
I
bizarre.
think
It does the like what's his name? It's the meta joke. I can't even remember his name. The John Carter thing where like it assumes that you're like it like jumps past the Tarzan origin story to like Tarzan is like third or second story or something. It's very strange.
except that makes more sense because people actually know who Tarzan is, whereas no one knew
Sort
who
of.
John Carter
I would argue people only know that like Tarzan was like raised by apes, but the movie jumps to like he's in England and not an ape man and like a lord and doing lordly things, and I'm like, how did they get from here to there? I don't actually remember.
It's fine. People watch the Disney movie. They're good enough. They're close. But more importantly, I'm interested to see, since apparently everyone's really mad because, they like destroyed the character Samuel L. Jackson played, who is also a really important historical figure. And yeah.
Do you mean
This will be
also
fun.
because Tarzan was an important historical figure?
No, I think they actually combined someone who I think may actually be a historical figure into Tarzan. Or he was an important literary figure. I don't entirely know. You're asking me to care way too much about the plot devices of a Tarzan movie. And at this point, I hope we've all agreed now that we should stop adapting Burroughs' works because,
Fuck Burroughs. Fuck
yeah,
him.
Yeah.
We need to get back
So,
to
fuck him.
we need to get back to adapting the lesser works of Bram Stoker.
You know what? I'm cool with that over Burroughs. Why not? So now we've kind of gone to the most surprising. Before we on the last broader topic about just movies you watched, is there any movie you guys, either of you saw that you felt was like a hidden gem that most people wouldn't know about? And you cannot say Sorry Man Caillou, and you cannot say Kizu. Sorry, Sam.
I have not actually this year. I watch less films in theaters than I used to. I was when I was in New Zealand this year. There wasn't a film festival going on, so I didn't see cool stuff like Deathgasm. So
was there anything? Well, keep in mind I say hidden discussion. Is there anything? Anything else? I guess you thought, even if it was just like a bigger movie, but you thought it was way better than other people, and you would offer.
I still defend Bats v Soups because I hate Superman for the same reason that Snyder hates Superman, and it's nice seeing someone agree with me with millions of dollars trying to take the central ideas of that character and tell the original authors that they're wrong for 2 hours. So I love
trying
that.
and failing in a bad movie that's made badly. That's bad.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Superman's a narcissist. Batman's a fascist, and they're all sadists. It's everything the superhero comics truly are.
You're welcome to go back and actually revise that blog post you wanted to do defending that and post it as a blast from the past 2016 style.
That's the thing I could do, or I could just tell you, or I can just tell people that Bats v Soups is definitely worth watching if you're willing to engage on it with the idea that there are huge problems with the ideas of Batman and Superman, and Snyder is not trying to be grim dark for no reason, but is trying to say, this is why I find these superhero characters problematic and what I think would happen in these circumstances. So I will keep defending the guy.
That'd be really cool, except I don't think he really has any problem with Batman.
I mean, his Batman is the kind of killing joke. Sorry, is the DKR coward Batman of Batman's unwillingness to kill the Joker makes him morally at fault for the Joker's future victims. So Batman therefore should kill once he's determined that people are likely to do enough harm to society to justify it, which is
why he just shoots a bunch of random goons.
He does start killing
yes,
people, so.
I do. That's my point. I'm not saying he doesn't criticize Batman for this, but he thinks that Batman's logical conclusion is a place that most Batman fans are unhappy with because he is taking the very minority view that Batman's unwillingness to kill is not noble, but stubborn and stupid.
Once again, Sam derails us all in a movie that we already had an hour and a half long discussion about on this very podcast.
Thumbs up.
I'm going to talk about some hidden gems here. Relatively hidden. I'll say Swiss Army Man just for quickly, because most people did not actually watch that movie. I I will also say, even though it's not quite hidden among like cinephiles, most people did not watch the new Godzilla, and I want to talk for a minute about how awesome that movie is. It's by the Evangelion director, and he directs it like Evangelion, which is not entirely successful, but still really awesome to see. It's incredibly fast-paced. It's so dense in terms of like titles and subtitles that it becomes hard to watch sometimes for a non-Japanese speaking viewer. But it's still like this amazing blend of like in the loop and kind of Marx Brothers approach to disaster movies, where like traditional disaster movies, the heroes are like the people, the average Joes who are like trying to outrun an earthquake on foot. But in the real world, in the 21st century, the real heroes of disaster movies are the bureaucrats trying to like move money around so that people can have enough money to like have tents while the disaster's going on. And so the fact that this Godzilla movie is like 10% cutaways to a really goofy looking Godzilla like destroying things and smashing people, and 90% like people in conference rooms debating like what exactly Godzilla is and what we do about it. That was all pretty amazing. It was really fantastic. The other one I'll mention, just because most people haven't seen this or even heard of it, because it went direct to video or direct to like online, downloads, whatever, was I'm Not a Serial Killer, which is really a pretty good like teenage kind of coming of age movie about this kid who, it's based on a really good series of YA books about this kid who's sort of like a teenage Dexter type. He has like, I think like 8 out of 10 of the like psychopath like checklist psychological things, but he hasn't killed anybody yet, and so he like spends his life having all the normal teenage problems and then also trying not to like snap and murder people, and so I won't give away what the actual story is, but it's a really good movie, and it says a lot of interesting things about like death and the struggle to change and be a better person. So that was really cool to watch.
I'll jump in really quick and say, since Nigel brought it up yet, Hail Caesar, which actually came out this year, which was, I think, amazing, and I think underrepresented on all the like best of the year list. I think it is I'm not sure it's a movie, but it's amazing for what it is, which is a retelling of the story of the Christ in the context of motion pictures, which is just awesome. And I definitely think it's worth, if you haven't seen that, because it had a not very large release, and it did not, at least I'm not seeing it get the kind of end of year Oscar buzz I think it deserves. It's definitely worth hunting down to see Hail Caesar.
All right. I'd probably go with Nerve, which is a movie that had no business being anywhere near as good as it was, but ended up being just a fun movie that was able to combine like an interesting logical conclusion that you would take from like people doing social media with everything in their lives to, there would conceivably be a game where people would just start having a system where you pay people to do things based on like crowd consensus, and the more they do it and the more views they get, the more money they get. And it did a really good job of like kind of threading the needle of making this a fun movie, but also the moral implications, while also just looking really like very unique and having like a soundtrack that fit really well. It was just a very competent kind of action movie that I think was a lot of fun. I think if it's just something you need to watch, like, so you can have like some minor enjoyment as opposed to like, if you're not need some like high-minded thing, I think it's a really good movie that doesn't involve Zack Snyder ruining everything. So,
I've been meaning to see that. Sam has something he wants to bring up.
So apparently the legendary monster trucks actually came out this year because they finally released it in order to not have it hanging over them anymore.
Comes out. No, its real release comes out it comes out. It hasn't come out yet. It comes out in 2017.
It is listed as having premiered December 26th.
It maybe did, but it's like real release.
Probably just like Silence, it got, an Oscar release. And then they're holding back the real wide release for
it is, but it is actually getting a real wide release. Is all I'm saying. Like,
okay,
in 2017.
I thought they had actually given up and they decided they were just gonna like sink it and just like pretend it never happened.
If they did, that would be amazing. Considering I was just at an AMC like 3 weeks ago, and there is a definite poster for it coming out in like January. So if that decision was made in the past like 3 weeks, I would just be like, wow, is
posters are cheap. No one can prove that an actual movie exists called Monster Trucks about a monster who lives in a truck.
Yeah. Also, I'll quickly say that another one is kind of similar to Sam's thoughts on Hellseas in terms of it got released really early. Was Richard Linklater's Everyone Wants Some, which was a really good movie, and it got released kind of early, so I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle. But
which is another movie that like the BFG and Pete's Dragon takes like a turn at the midpoint where you're like, oh, this is actually good.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely goes around, and I mainly like that film because it definitely gave the sense of, regardless of all else in it, there was when the film ended. I got the sense of kind of similar to how I somewhat felt when I first started college, just like the freedom and how you go things, and like it did a really good job of capturing like the feeling you'll have when you first start and what it means. And obviously, they went in certain directions that aren't entirely gonna be relatable to everybody, but that feeling was still there remarkably, and I thought that was impressive.
Do you also relate to taking off your disco suit to put on your cowboy pants to go to a different bar and square dance?
Like I just said, all of it doesn't apply. The general vibe.
I was just asking if that part
totally
applied, because if it did, that'd be really interesting, and I didn't know that about you, David.
Oh yeah. When I went there, I was jumping from all those places around USC because we have all that fun stuff to do when you have no way of transporting yourself. Tons of it.
Do you want to talk briefly about Sing Street?
Sure. I think Sing Street actually is not quite as hidden as the rest of them, which is why I didn't bring it up, because it's still getting mentioning now. I think we're going to hear more about it a little bit more in award season. But yeah, Sing Street's a really good movie. It was made by the director of Once, and the music was actually done by Adam Levine and the original composer from the musical Once. So it's like a really good coming of age story that does a good job of having the music actually reflect like different aspects of coming of age, and has some great moments, and is a lot closer and comparable to La La Land than most people realize, because that's the one that people are going to talk about from a musical perspective.
No, it had a lot of very similar themes to La La Land too.
It does, though. The thing they did more was like the love of brothers.
Mm-hmm. Well, but
that means.
It's not just brotherly love. It's the idea of like that important to the life of the artist is the person who supports the artist emotionally and by telling them that you can do it and all that.
Yeah, but in this case, there is even more so specific to brothers, because like they even make the point at the end of the film to be like, this is for brothers everywhere and things like that. So there's a little more personal version of that. Then that message still applies universally, but even more specifically, it's kind of brothers in this case.
Yeah.
Now we're going to bring back one of our segments that kind of exists in the podcast, but we ignore it even though we all liked it last time we did it, and that is In and Out. And we're going to discuss. I'm going to bring up a couple of topics, and you're going to let me know how you guys are feeling generally towards them going forward.
Well, it's a tradition.
Yeah, sure. It's a tradition of two.
The second one is when it becomes tradition.
So we're going to start first, since we've kind of briefly talked about this, but where are you guys both at on blockbuster movies?
Non-superhero movies or non-Star Wars superhero movies or superhero Star Wars movies?
You can take this however you want, which means you can hedge as much as you need to.
I'm pretty much out on the fact that like big, expensive, original ideas are super rare. And while the franchises are getting smarter, the Furious series appears to get better with every release this time. I've liked new Star Wars films. Marvel had a good year. I'm not happy about the fact that it does feel like every major film from May till August has a number or other marker of sequel somewhere in the title, or is based on a franchise.
All right. Got you.
I think the only people who are still doing good blockbuster cinema is Christopher Nolan and Star Wars. I think that basically everyone else has sort of like either forgotten or stopped caring about making good big movies. And I think there are a lot of reasons for that. But one of them is like, there was that rumor about the upcoming Batman film where some producers of the film came to the main producers and were like, we hear like a bunch of things we think are wrong with the script, and here's what we'd like to do to fix them. And the producers of the new Batman film were like, look, 75% of the audience for this movie isn't going to see it in English. Who gives a fuck? And I think that attitude is like horribly deadly to making good movies. Like I watched X-Men Apocalypse this year, and that has just like basic like screenwriting 101 problems of like your characters don't have motivations or reasonable goals. Your story scenes do not follow one from another. Like, we idolize the 80s too much, but in the 80s, they like when you went to the summer movies, they were like, Die Hard. They were Indiana Jones. They were these movies that were both big and really smart and fantastic scripts too. And I wish to God we could go back to that, but I don't think we will anytime soon.
Yeah, I would say I'm generally out too, with the obvious caveat that there is kind of the exception. I kind of treat them differently, the way how you want to treat films, because mostly those are, at least some of the most studios are just still doing well, other than like, Blue Sky, whose entire existence is the Ice Age movies, and they need to go away forever. But yeah, I think my biggest problem is that the blockbuster mentality has pretty much kind of made it impossible for those like mid-budget like movies to get made. Like it's becoming increasingly really difficult, and then people get really upset if, let's say, they make them and they don't like have a Fault of Our Stars style like they made back 12 times their money, and which makes no sense because that's not a reasonable expectation to have for a movie like that. But general, I think it's just because this year really felt like it's always the way it is of movies, that they pack everything really, like all the really supposed good movies are mostly packed at the end and then they kind of spread. But this year, I guess it was just, there were so many mostly misses of blockbusters and sequels and stuff that it's gotten pretty terrible. And the fact that we're only going to get more, and now we're having things like Universal's making the entire franchise out of just the idea of monsters. And even if that trailer actually looks remarkably okay, since they just apparently redid the Edge of Tomorrow trailer, but with the mummy, that kind of puts us all out-ish on all of them, with the caveat of a couple studios.
Prove us wrong, Hollywood. Prove us wrong.
All right. Okay. Since we had a discussion about Arrival on a past podcast, I thought I would bring up where we all are right now on the director of that movie, Denis Villeneuve, especially considering he is about to release his direction version of the updated Blade Runner 2049. So, where are we at? In, out.
Arrival was well directed. That's the only thing I've seen from him. If he wants to direct more movies, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to say he can't do that.
How do you feel about him in context of that he's the person who got Blade Runner?
As per our previous discussion, I give less and less of a shit about like modern big blockbuster franchise remakes, remakeables, whatever, reboots. I just like don't care anymore. If it's good, I will enjoy that. If it's not good, I will watch it and insult it on this podcast. And if it's really not good, I won't watch it. Like there's no passion in this question for me.
More importantly, the real question is going to be ultimately is if Harrison Ford is going to go through it, and this will be his triumphant murdering off all his time-honored characters, as people have wondered. Started with Star Wars. See if he can just do it in Blade Runner. He's going to come back for Indiana Jones. He's just going to murder them all off and then force people to do their movies. We'll find out.
Arguably, he should have manned up and not murdered Han Solo, and they should have murdered Leia instead.
Well,
no,
Star Wars certainly would have, due to unfortunate events, be better off if that had happened, I guess. But no, I think thematically it made more sense for him to die there. But
yeah, agreed.
Sam, what about you? You've seen a couple more of his movies, or one more than Caillou has. So,
I like him as a director. I like the fact that Harrison Ford is willing to resurrect certain franchises, and this is one of those rare ones where there are a lot of things you could do. You could, readapt Dick. You could do, readapt it with no one involved. The fact that you're bringing back, one of the famous principles to one from his earlier works means that this is kind of a called shot, and this
Does this retroactively answer the question of whether he's a replicant or not?
Retroactively, it will. And that's
Yes.
why it's so interesting. Is that retroactively, there's no way they can do this that doesn't take all of the kind of fucking years of fan theories and alternate cuts and interpretations and give answers about, it turns out this is X. It turns out X is Y. Like, and so whether he's a replicant, whether he's the clone of the guy who's driving him around, whether, you know, what what's the ending mean? We're gonna like find that out basically now, and so that's a really interesting thing for both the director and the actor being willing to revise something that many years later that, you know, wasn't a franchise and making it into one. I'm cautiously optimistic because if this fails, this ruins something that kind of is a little more meaningful than, you know, when Team NT 2 was worse than Team NT 1.
I'm surprised that Ridley Scott is not doing this.
I'm not familiar enough with the industry side of the story to know why Ridley Scott is not involved.
David says, "Moo."
Awkward pause. This happened long enough.
Hello?
I've literally heard nothing you guys just said for like fuzzed out and we're gone.
When did we fuzz out?
After Sam said the thing about destroying something meaningful, and then you talked, but I couldn't hear the thing you said. Then I tried to tell you, and then
it's not important. We can just keep going.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Give me a second. I don't know if this will fix that or not, but maybe something happened here. No, Lord. Okay.
All right. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, the other interesting thing is obviously the fact that Ridley Scott and Harrison Ford like disagree on what Decker was, which I find always really funny because Scott's basically said at this point that he actually thought he was replicant, and Ford's basically said he's absolutely not.
Do you know why Ridley Scott's not doing this movie, David?
Specifically or hypothetically?
Specifically, do you have knowledge of this?
My assumption was just that he wanted to bring it back, but just didn't want to do it, or he was probably too busy doing Alien stuff with Prometheus, so he probably didn't want to. He probably was like, I have to choose, and then Denis Villeneuve, like, this is the movie he's wanted to do. Apparently, like this and Dune are like the things he's desperately wanted to do. Dune is a much bigger one, and it seems like he may also get that, but like I think he really wanted to do it, and so it's possible that once Scott realized he couldn't get it done in a reasonable time, and maybe Ford, it's possible that Harrison Ford also kind of was like, well, I'll do it now, but I'm not going to do it 5 years from now. And so they found someone and went from there. But yeah, I don't really have an answer as to why. My assumption was just he like just didn't have time because he picked other stuff. He's too busy doing The Martian and things like that. I am of course in on Villeneuve since I think he is one of the best directors working today. I'm actually really interested to see how he will do on a bigger budgeted thing, since he was able to actually follow a more traditional path of doing a couple movies and building, and not just being forced to do one good movie and then immediately jump to a bigger movie. Especially considering he's jumping to like Blade Runner, which is going to be big, but isn't like he's jumping to doing like a superhero movie. I think that'll be interesting to see kind of the transition of Rian Johnson's. Similarly, why I'm so excited to see him with Star Wars is seeing some directors who actually went a slightly slower and more traditional path. And if they can both do well, maybe that will make Hollywood stop grabbing people before they hoping to call their shots, and it kind of 50-50. And sometimes they work like Ryan Coogler, and sometimes you get Fantastic Four. Okay. So sounds like we're all roughly in on him. Caillou's kind of indifferent because he hasn't seen enough, but he did give the tepid approval of he can make more movies. So, approval. Now we're going to go on to quickly we'll do two actors. Actress. The first will be, none of us have obviously seen this particular movie, but we can talk about the general star, and that's Will Smith. And I think we can discuss if he has any relevance whatsoever anymore. So with his twofer of Collateral Beauty and Suicide Squad. So how about it? Kai, why don't you go first?
I mean, Will Smith is, like certain actors, fantastic when he wants to be. So he has exactly as much relevance as he wants to have. If he
does, he
yes, if he
does, he
yes,
anymore?
he absolutely does. If he turned around tomorrow and wanted to do a big movie or be in the new whatever, then he certainly could, and people would be like, Will Smith, where have you been? And he'd be like, I was right here. I was just doing nothing of importance for no reason. So
I don't know, but he kind of seems like he's been doing that, and it hasn't worked as well as we would expect it to.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think he's a supremely talented and still very popular person. He has therefore he has the career he wants. And the career he wants seems to be Nicolas Cage's, where sometimes he does something where he tries, it's really good. Sometimes he does something off the beat and it's really fun. And sometimes he makes Collateral Beauty,
which he thought was going to be really good. So,
It's very clear that he tries to make a Oscar bait movie once a year and times it for December. Think about Concussion, think about Collateral Beauty.
Yeah.
Like he's doing this. And I would say that it also becomes very clear that he's either bad at choosing these movies or he's doing an avant-garde project about he thinks he's only going to get an Oscar if he's been passed up for 10 previous poor movies or something like that. As for his actual summer movies, because I don't consider they really feel like vanity projects. Like even what was 7 pounds or like the one where he gave his organs away by having himself killed by a jellyfish.
That was a prestige movie.
Yes, and Happiness was too. But he's been very clear that he's been doing this, and he has been, I guess, tried to template those two films. And since that attempt,
well, it seems clear that he doesn't want to win an Oscar for an amazing performance. Like most people win Oscars, he wants a particular kind of Oscar bait where he's the feel good, the sainted character who undergoes adversity or is adversity is self-sacrificing in 7 pounds. He basically is the 7 pounds guy without the death part, where he just wants to be so lauded for giving of himself that he winds up in these roles when he should just make the best movies he can make. Well, he should have taken Django and so on.
No, it's very clear, the Django Smith example, where there are roles that he doesn't seem to want to take, even in Suicide Squad. Have either of you seen it?
We had a podcast about this fucking movie.
I know.
With you, Sam.
I'm assuming that our viewers, our listeners, haven't all heard that podcast.
The next sound you hear, listeners, will be me hurting Sam.
So my point is, it's very clear from that role there is a way to play that role that is slightly closer to the comics, even closer to the DC TV universe, and instead he really focuses on the loving father, on the humanity in that. And it's an interesting choice, but it is telling that it seems like it's a very Will Smith choice to make. So in general,
it also did destroy Rick Flagg's character. So
I can't judge Will Smith for that performance because half of performance is editing, and Suicide Squad's editing is atrocious for reasons we've discussed on this podcast, on this episode and the previous episode. I think that but I do think in general, yes, Will Smith wants to play characters who are liked, and I think also he tends to take these very similar roles, and the Oscars don't typically reward somebody for taking the 25th pretty good role they've done of the same thing, as Leonardo DiCaprio will tell you. They give you an Oscar when you surprise them and are also really good, as Denzel Washington will tell you. So I think that he's just like...
Sam, did you have...
I mean, I think that when and if he wants... I think that when he decided to do Suicide Squad, it was not at all clear. Like, there clearly is an acceptable script for that movie, of the idea of a dark superhero movie, that he saw a character he wanted in that. The fact that Suicide Squad in execution ended up being a mess does not change the fact that, like, that was not, it was not a structure, it was not a, like, X-Men, Age of Apocalypse. It's clear from this. It's clear from the screenplay that, like, there's fucking structural holes here. That this was something happened in shooting or editing that broke Suicide Squad.
Well, also no. Also, they only gave Ayers 6 weeks to write the script for Suicide Squad, so I guarantee you that was not a masterpiece to begin with.
Sure, but my point is, like, I think that when he's doing action movies like this, it is a matter of time until someone does an action movie that is interesting and well made, that happens to have a Will Smith part that he happens to want to play. We'll have to deal with a fair number of Wild Wild Wests before we get to the next Men in Black.
All right, fair enough. I guess it depends. If you're asking me if I in on his ability as an actor, well, yeah, I agree with Kyle that still can do things we want to. I think, though, I'm out of, like, the concept of Will Smith, because before he was, like, a star, I don't know if he is relevant anymore in terms of how he can sell a movie. And I say this because he did his own little self-imposed sabbatical, and since he came to try and make his son a star, and since he's come back, he's kind of had some issues getting things off the ground. That's one reason I think he agreed to do Suicide Squad, is it kind of give him more cachet again and make him seem cool.
I think it's important to note that in the time since his sabbatical, there has been a very serious change with the importance versus international versus domestic box office, and it is totally possible that he managed to sabbatical out when the producer had the conclusion of most of this film most of the viewers of this film will not be seeing it in English. The question is, what does China like? And if China does not like Will Smith the way they like, CG orcs, we're going to have a problem.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, he also hasn't done as well domestically, even if that was just simply the case.
Well, I think
it's not.
The issue
the success hasn't been.
Go ahead.
Caillou. Oh, sorry. Did you actually stop? I couldn't tell if you got cut off.
Stopped.
I wasn't sure if you.
I stopped.
Okay. Sorry. I mean, yeah, it's just that. Yeah, international thing's a whole other thing. It's just that if it had been that, it'd be a little different. If, let's say, his films were doing really well, but he wasn't being cast and stuff because he wasn't doing well internationally, that's a different thing. This one's just been interesting because he's slowly like the final tipping point, because, like, it had kind of been trending this way where his films hadn't been doing as well, and then, like, Collateral Beauty was the giant clusterfuck of the moment of, like, if Will Smith had made Collateral Beauty 7 years ago, that film would have made like $150 million purely off of Will Smith. And how bad it was.
Well, I mean, like, look, Collateral Beauty, I learned about what that movie was from, like, a Vox article explaining that it was the dumbest movie of the year. I don't know that movie was, like, marketed the way you'd be able to market a Will Smith movie. Like, 7 Pounds didn't make $150 million, but it made, $20 million based on nothing but Will Smith's name. I think that, like,
it made $100 million ultimately.
My point is that, like, I think the comparison to Nicolas Cage is kind of apt in that, like, it's hard to say what a Nicolas Cage movie is, because Nicolas Cage does different levels and different kinds of performances, and you never know whether they're going to be truly awful movies or, kind of offbeat, interesting things. I'm not sure what a Will Smith movie is anymore, and that certainly didn't used to be the case. I think he just needs to sort of recalibrate and focus, and probably play towards older audiences now that he's older, and just move more towards, like, the classier, like, artier films that I think people would enjoy seeing him in and would, like, turn up for.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I would argue that the Nicolas Cage thing is not entirely apt, just because Nicolas Cage does that because he needs to keep making movies, because he has issues financially, which Will Smith does not have, which is why Will Smith makes 2 films a year and Nicolas Cage makes 7.
Sure, but I haven't heard of, like, 6 of them.
You can watch them all
Sure.
on Netflix. They'll be Netflix. I mean, like, yes, Nicolas Cage is. It's important what happens when like mid-career Nicolas Cage is one thing. Late-career Nicolas Cage, you can find when it happens. He simply doesn't say no anymore. If you can pay his day rate, he will show up and give it his best. And that means that there are definitely scripts that.
No, he's definitely gone downhill in the last
Well,
few years.
his acting is not that much worse. Like
In terms of the movies.
oh yeah, because when you start saying yes to everything that will pay your day rate and has the hole in your schedule, then eventually you're going to end up with movies that are just like rage.
Okay, so since we allowed Sam another opportunity to talk about Suicide Squad some more and then open the door for Nicolas Cage, we're going to move on from the Will Smith part of this. And hold on. Fuck it. We'll do it.
It's good.
We're going to move on from the Will Smith part of this and go to an actress this time, and the last thing we talk about in movies, and that is Emma Stone, which is a much more relevant question if you've seen La La Land. But Sam, you can do it anyhow, so it's fine. Kaya, you have seen La La Land, so go ahead.
I don't normally like Emma Stone. She has an insincerity to her performances that I find off-putting. And she kind of fits in the like new girl, like adorkable thing, which grates on me. I liked her in La La Land. If she happens to find like another exquisitely perfect role in an excellent movie that fits exactly what she needs, then, sure. Other than that, I'm probably just going to go back to ignoring her.
All right. Sam, what's your, general experience of Emma Stone?
I think that she is choosing better and better screenplays. Like while her acting and performances, I have not seen have been getting that much better. I think she's technically proficient, but I don't think that she's masterful. I think that she's been choosing better performances as she's gotten older, and I have if at a certain point we ultimately have to judge performers for the screenplays they choose to say yes to, and I like the fact that I'm not seeing a bunch of awful Emma Stone movies in my Netflix queue the way I am with, Nicolas Cage or James Van Der Beek or whatever.
James Van Der Beek? Well, that's a deep trying to. What movies have you seen of James Van Der Beek in your Netflix?
I'm actually super excited for Diplo. I super want to see that. Have you heard of this yet? They greenlit this live-action show starring James Van Der Beek, where James Van Der Beek pretends to be a German DJ as some weird Louis meets. It's like Louis meets the Pretender meets Being There thing. So actually, I actually secretly love everything James Van Der Beek has done for the past many years, and I was just using this as an excuse to bring up the fact that this thing got greenlit, and we should all watch Diplo when it comes out.
Well, I'm glad I allowed you to do that. So good job, Sam. I will say that I've always been more interested in Emma Stone as an actress. The big thing about La La Land is I agree with Caillou that in terms of this was a perfect role for her. And I'd kind of given up that Hollywood actually would know how to use her correctly. I, of course, have complete opposition to the fact that Caillou says she's insincere, because her sincerity is actually the strongest part of her to me. Because I agree with Sam that she's not as technically proficient as some other actresses. Caillou's opinion is just wrong there, and it's invalid, so don't listen to him.
I hope the viewers are listening, because I'm reading about Diplo right now. Louis meets world star hip-hop crossed with this is Spinal Tap. Van Der Beek plays a fictional version of DJ superstar Diplo in a collection of parables about life as told through the eyes of a guy who could bring 60,000 people to their feet, but kind of sucks one-on-one. The show doesn't take itself too serious, but it's not cynical, Van Der Beek told Deadline.
Okay, so
I am super excited.
I think insincere is the wrong word. I think she has a theatricality to her performances that comes across and is a problem in naturalistic movies that should be more naturalistic, like Easy A. It works well in La La Land because La La Land is blatantly theatrical half the time. So I think there are performers like that, and they just need to find movies that are more layered and arch and meta than they normally do.
I mean, I would say Easy A actually she was the right person for that. But you're semi-correct in that when she tries to do, for example, she tried to do Mobster Squad, even to some extent when she tried to do the Woody Allen film, it kind of pushes things. That's the one where I noticed it a little bit. Because
she's also like, I mean, she's really young. She's one of those actors who look really young, even though they're now trying to play adults and have to be cast as adults. And I think it's significant that like there's no sex in La La Land. Like it's a movie that's still very much about young people, even though like Ryan Gosling is obviously not, you know, a 20-something anymore.
I mean, there is implied sex in La La Land. There's just no actual
right.
sex.
There's no actual sex. It's not really a sexualized movie at all.
Yes, that's
they're just like kind of dance in a gentlemanly fashion.
But sounds like, you know, Caillou's in as long as she's in movies like La La Land. Sam is in the way that apparently she's doing better scripts, but also as an excuse to talk about James Vanderbeek, which you know.
Sam is super in if she joins the cast of Diplo.
Oh my God.
I think it's what we're learning here.
Yes. That's it. That's right there.
I'm in because I've always thought she was great, and I'm just glad she's actually in a movie. And I'm probably going to be really sad when next year she goes back to not having good roles again. So, you know, it'll be great. So that's all for movies for now, because we've gone all over the rails and even into TV, which is, I guess, good because now we're going to talk about TV in 2016. So in a similar sense, we're going to do moments and we're going to do more experience, but more in this case, it's going to be moments. However, I'm going to just go ahead and preemptively say that if your best moment happened to involve Game of Thrones, just list a Game of Thrones best moment and then another television best moment so we can actually talk about something else. I'm not saying your moment's going to be that, but if it is, just have two ready. So, Caillou, why don't you go first?
Gosh, did television have any good moments this year? Television news kind of destroyed the world, so I feel bad.
Don't worry, that will come up later. So,
okay,
we can talk about television news a little bit later.
I really liked the pilot of The Night Of, and then the show like steadily went downhill. But the pilot was really great, and the best moment of it is just like it's you know it's this very like true to life style crime story about this guy who is accused of murdering this woman that he hooks up with one night. And the pilot is great because of how like patiently and expertly it like closes the noose around this guy and just showing that like he's fucked in every single way. And by the climax of the pilot for me is the moment when he's in the police station. He's been arrested for like making a wrong turn. He's been brought to the same police station as the police who found the dead body and are now checking in. And as the police checking in are describing the murder knife that is missing from the woman's apartment, he is being routinely searched, and that knife covered in blood is being pulled out of his jacket pocket. It is an amazing moment. That was fantastic.
All right. Sam?
I assume you mean live action, correct?
Yes.
I do. If we talk about anime,
Coil
we'll do
vs.
that later.
Ponderosa, Trial of the Century, where Charlie's knowledge of bird law finally saves the day, was probably my moment for the year, which is, those not familiar with it, an episode of It's Always Sunny, which is, while some might call them self-indulgent, they have created their own bizarre little universe with callbacks and references and kind of through lines and gags have been going on for years and years and years now. So this combined basically three of their greatest running gags of the Poyles, the Ponderosas, and Charlie the lawyer, and also Charlie's uncle who molested him with the hands issue. And so all four of those arcs being brought to one dramatic, comedic conclusion at once was every bit as amazing as anything I've seen It's Always Sunny do.
Also, not anime, but animated. The moment in the second episode of Archer this year, where they culminated like 7 years of voicemail jokes into one amazing scene where the entire cast is sitting in silence listening to what they think is a joke voicemail, but it's actually Archer like single-handedly murdering an entire biker gang. That was pretty great.
All right. Mine would be in general, I would say that the stuff I enjoyed probably did some things come from Game of Thrones, though they kind of all blend together at this point because things like that's happened. Though for a single actual moment, being in partially it was based on being in the room, but the moment in the finale when Tommen commits suicide, just because we were all sitting there waiting for it to happen, and then I was like, well, this is going to happen, and then he just walks in and created now the current king of gifts of people killing themselves. Is pretty great.
Look, that may be the king of those gifts for now, but eventually that gift is just going to walk out the window.
That I didn't think it was possible, but that brought things down even lower than we've already gone. But from a non-perspective, probably it would be so it was in Stranger Things, but it's the moment in which Nancy and Will's brother basically like become a part of the real show and realize like something supernatural is happening, because it meant Winona Ryder wasn't stuck on her own screaming about things, and the show kind of like clicked into place. Was a deeply satisfying moment. And I guess also just like a special shout out, like just the like finale of Gravity Falls in general at the beginning of the year.
That was this year?
Yes, it was in February.
This year was 3 years long, so I apologize for not remembering.
Steven Universe, multiple amazing moments with
which you're not going to describe because I'm not caught up yet.
But they're
why does everyone marry each other? That's a great line, you know.
Okay. Like Sam is correct. There were multiple amazing moments in Steven Universe of profound change and amazingness. But but Gravity Falls, like the finale, just had so many great moments, and even if and just as like one, just the existence of Dippy Fresh was, and Dipper's just hatred towards this like supposed cool version of him was just stunning.
I mean, Gravity Falls was great.
Stop. Okay. My computer fucked me and my recording got paused.
When?
Like right at the second I told you to stop.
Okay. Well, we're gonna do resync, and you send me that one. Yep. My computer keeps going to sleep because it doesn't understand that even though I'm running two different things, that it thinks it should go to sleep. I don't know.
That's basically what's happening to mine, and then it like paused it when I tried to get it out of it.
Yeah. You need to stop doing that. That's the second time you've done that.
This computer is wank, and I can't promise anything.
We can actually talk briefly about this year's board games.
No.
No. Board games are a mistake. Nothing but trash.
Shots fired.
No one has ever said that.
Sam has.
Sam is not someone I'm prepared to listen to.
Get good. Get good.
How are you on getting Christmas presents to people and from people, David?
I talked to Morgan today. We haven't set up a day yet, but we're going to do it. And then she apparently was in Cuba for Christmas and stuff, seeing her dad.
Is she alive and stuff?
I mean, she responded to me.
Yeah.
I presume that means she's alive.
Or someone with her cell phone number.
Yeah. To save time, should we just go ahead and start the new one, and then I'll pull this over to you, like put it in the files later?
Yeah, you don't have to send it to me right this second. You just need to make sure it's exported.
It's exported.
Okay. So tell me when you're recording, and we'll resync.
Recording.
1, 2,
3, 4,
5, 6,
7, 8,
9, 10.
Well, I was
We
just
good?
gonna keep going until Sam stopped.
Yeah, I was like, we good? Okay.
Yeah, we're good. I was just fucking around.
Yeah, just the Gravity Falls in general, the finale was really great, but I guess from a specific moment, just the existence of Dippy Fresh was really fun, just because Dipper's gradual frustration with this like supposed cool version of himself just became increasingly hilarious. and the part where he's like, I hate that guy so much, it just like fits so well amongst many other just grand and great moments. But I mean, there's a lot of like pretty solid moments in television this year, as long as they were actually like scripted and not from the news perspective of how the real world was on fire. So, you know,
I would also like to shout out, because it will never get shouted out anywhere else on the blog or podcast, to MTV's Scream, whose season 2 was actually really, really good this year, and got a lot closer to like the platonic ideal of what a Scream show should be. So I enjoyed that.
Well, that will probably answer something for later, but that's good. I also probably should fill out the mission that I never talked about Game of Thrones at all in this podcast in any shape or form. Or just now. The other moment I'll have to mention that was really like I guess for me big was when Jon and Sansa first see each other, like, and you have like a moment of like a Starks being kind of reunited, just like the feeling of catharsis and like somewhat happy joy it brought. This is before, you know, whatever terrible things that happened since then, was very nice to see as part of a season that in general kind of was about actually not taking everything we love away from us over and over again. So, you know.
Sam, turn it off.
No.
Then don't point it in my face. You're distracting me.
What did Sam do?
He's just playing anime videos on his phone and making me look at it.
Wow, that's an expert trolling, man.
It's actually an ad
That's
for
really lazy trolling.
it's an ad for the best troll contest of 2016. I thought it was relevant in terms of the year in review.
I swear to God, we can make a segment on the podcast that's called "What have we got in our pockets?" where we each pull out our cell phone, find a random internet thing we like, and talk about it. But you can't do that right this minute.
Cool. So now we're gonna. But yeah, that's I think a good touch from like the best moments each of us liked from television this year. So just like movies, we're now going to move on to worst things, in this case like moments. So what was like kind of the worst thing you had to experience or moment itself in television for you this year? For scripted stuff, don't bring up non-scripted things.
I was going to say November 8th, which was the least scripted moment all year.
Well, like I said, not that.
I don't know. Did I watch terrible TV this year? This year I made it a point not to watch terrible TV. Unlike my brother, I did not get sucked into the OA on Netflix, which is apparently a show about like the power of interpretive dance. I have not gotten sucked back into Gotham, which is apparently a ridiculous show.
Yeah, I would actually argue the third season of Gotham is actually strangely fun to watch. But my counter, of course, to this is that even if you only watch good television, doesn't mean everything it did was perfect. So you could still have bad moments. Well, I'm saying not true.
Yeah, but
your answer could even just be, you're like, I like the pilot of Night Of, and the rest of it is terrible. That's an answer. My point is, like, that statement you made is incorrect. So figure something out.
Oh, actually, I really need to go back and talk about Black Mirror, which I forgot was television, because television means things on the internet now. Like all of the best moments of the year were in fact in Black Mirror, because Black Mirror is amazing. Even when it's not, it's still amazing.
So is Black Mirror the Rick and Morty of this year? Since last year, all your favorite moments from Rick and Morty?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the San Junipero episode of Black Mirror is like one of the best things I watched this year of like anything. So maybe just because it's surrounded by a show that's like so depressing and horrible, and in tone, to have something that's like a really interesting, warm love story was just really great.
Fair enough. But yeah, so back to but what was the moment you didn't enjoy?
Don't know. Come back to me.
Sure. Sam?
Westworld episodes 5 through 9. The realization that they were in fact going to do what should have been 3 episodes of plot and have that be an entire season. And then, oh, by the way, season 2 is in 2018.
Okay, that's an answer.
That's a good point. The worst television moment of this year was the fact that Rick and Morty is not coming until next year.
Except it's coming earlier than we thought it was going to come. So
it's still not early enough. Mr. Croupy Butthead is not happy.
Ooh wee, Rick.
Yeah, but keep thinking of a real moment. That doesn't count. Just so we're clear, Kai. You have to actually have seen Rick and Morty.
Butthead or poopy butthole?
Butthole. Poopy
Okay,
butthole.
I'm sorry. I have to go back and re-record that for accuracy's sake. Mr. Poopy Butthole is not happy still.
I mean, you have to prove you love him enough that it's okay. He doesn't have bad memories of him. Is that the case?
I legitimately just did not watch a ton of television this year, and so I'm not sure I have a bad moment that stuck in my craw the way some of the really shitty movies this year did.
That's fair. I mean, that's true. I mean, probably about the worst experience you probably had watching something was that your indifference towards Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean, Stranger Things was the best part of Stranger Things was when it ended, so I didn't have to watch it anymore.
Well, so there you go. See, I knew we'd get you there. We drew that negativity out of you.
Just when I thought it was out, you pulled me back in.
There are a lot of moments you could go to. I'm actually going to say it's kind of hard for me to properly, if I'm just going purely of things that happened in the calendar year, probably one of the most terrible things to watch was just everything that happened to the third season, second half of the 100, as every bad decision I could think of a creator could make, he pretty much made, and then exacerbated it until the rage of the fans basically coalesced around him and turned on him in such a vicious way.
Look,
and sitting the cover.
These are like fruit flies. What makes them so beautiful is how short-lived they are.
Go for a pure that was more, I guess, just the reaction to it and just watching the destruction happen. If I'm going for just a moment of pure, just oh my God, kind of terrible in what I've done, it's probably when I had to watch an episode of Vinyl before it was mercifully taken off the air and canceled and put about the misery, since Vinyl is everything about the old model of television that's terrible, except they didn't realize it until too late for some reason. That makes no sense to me. And HBO tried to make it happen, and oh Lord, did it not happen. And it kind of also reinforces, as we talked about, that last year felt like 3 years, since the fact that Vinyl actually did come out last year is kind of stunning when you would have thought it came out 3 years ago. And the show itself felt like a show from 5 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's because it was a show that was conceived 5 years ago to fit into that age of television.
So yeah, so that probably would be, just that episode was, I was watching it to write about for the blog. I definitely started minute checking. And when I realized at one point there was I started minute checking 15 minutes in, and then slowly died inside as it just kept going and going. So, yeah.
Actually, I thought of a worse moment of television. While I was, what?
Pretty terrible. Since we got here that surprised you in terms of how much you liked it, how much you didn't like it in this case. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can.
I must have cut out. I came up with a bad moment.
Okay, go ahead and do it again.
I just remembered an actual awful moment of television. Today's television, you don't have to watch bad things if you don't want to, which is kind of great. And kind of why all our bad moments are either David's I had to watch this because I'm a pop culture critic, or Sam's I liked this part of it but not that part of it. However, I was with my grandparents in this year for Christmas, and one of the things that was constantly on their television was the Hallmark Channel, which apparently is in the business of making made-for-TV movies now, because this year they made 35 of them, and every single movie is she's a big city doctor who has to go to a small town where she falls in love with their small town ways and a hunky small town fireman. And that's every movie they make, apparently. So I had to watch one that was about a woman who was a single mom with 2 kids, and she goes to a small town. She's clearly takes one of those quote unquote road trips where you throw everything you own into the back of a car and drive until the gas runs out, or you get saved by Hallmark character. She winds up in a small town where there's like a little diner, and she has to go, and she goes in to ask for a waitress job. And the manager is like, well, I can't pay anything like a living wage. And she's like, look, I'll take anything. And she's like, all right, fine, you can work, for this pittance. And then and then she's like, all right, and she leaves. And then the manager like turns to her coworker and is like, I sure screwed her out of a good wage for her 2 kids. I don't know. It was a really awful, awful thing, and it just points to the fact that you shouldn't ever do things with family because they'll make you do bad things.
Hallmark also is known for their many, many things about princes and love with princes or royalty. So yeah, I'm very familiar with the Hallmark Channel movie list. So I don't have quite the hatred you do, but that's just because around Christmas I kind of just turn off all the hate, just like disappear for a while on the cocoon of Christmas, and then reemerge. See that would happen.
That one was like doubly frustrating because it was clear that it was like directed way better than it should have been, and it was some poor director who was like slumming, but like throwing in like rack focuses and stuff and things that you're like, no, this doesn't belong in a Hallmark movie. You're just really, really bored, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what I like to call the Twilight editing and shooting. So, but for TV. So yeah, so okay, cool. So we drew a couple of bad moments out of Caillou, and so we can keep going. And I guess, and like I said, this might be a little difficult as we've talked about how curated your TV was this year, Caillou. But I guess what was the kind of like the movies? What was anything either of you found especially surprising when you watched it this
Holy
year?
shit!
I mean, once again,
season
good.
2.
Okay, well,
I mean, are we all cut up? Because
No.
So there's no way to discuss this moment because
you can just say that it's fine.
Yeah,
You just say the
very
say
end,
the end.
complete and total ass pull that I'm sure is supported by the previous 2 seasons, but it is absolutely. I was caught totally flat-footed by surprise by it, and I would really like to see how the fuck they explain it in season 3.
I didn't find it to be an ass pull, but it is very surprising. It will be interesting to see what happens going forward. So that's a fair moment to talk about, which of course we can't do anymore, but for people who know what we're talking about, you know what we're talking about. Caillou, do you have anything, I guess?
I was surprised that I didn't like Stranger Things, which we talked about on that podcast. I was surprised that I did like Game of Thrones this year. Like, I was surprised to find that it would actually like started to make the turn towards hope that I had feared would never come as late as last season. So I didn't watch a whole lot of stuff that was like a total shock to me because, like you said, I didn't watch a whole lot of stuff this year. But those 2 reactions surprised me.
All right. I mean, mine would probably come down to, I guess, one was I was surprised at how the Magicians ended up being. It was about what I expected, so being surprised by it, not the right word. I'll probably say from a pure most surprisingly entertaining show, I did not expect The Good Place. I know I did not expect The Good Place to be what it was. I mean, the pedigree behind the show was great. It had Michael Schur, it had Ted Danson, Kristen Bell, but the original premise looked kind of boring to me, and then what the show ended up being and how little they cared and are now just shifting through things and consistently going through plots in a pace that's actually interesting and not just dragging them along has made it one of the more enjoyable comedies on television. And the fact that Michael Schur has perfectly made sure that the show could only be a certain number of episodes each year, and to ensure that he could do whatever he wants and not have to be constrained by stretching things out, which made it very enjoyable.
Cool.
Sorry, I had to make sure you guys could still hear me.
Yep, we're just letting you have your thing about a show that we don't watch.
Well, I'm the one who watched all the television. You two have proper lives, so this happens.
It's not true. That's a damnable lie.
More proper than mine. So there we go for most surprising moments, I guess. Now we're going to kind of go in again. Is there any, was there anything you watched this year, like, a little bit more like hidden gem wise, things people watch as much base of thing, but something you watched that you think maybe people don't know about as well, that, maybe you saw it on Netflix, maybe you saw it someplace else, whatever, that you think you would like to recommend for people to watch?
I'm going to reiterate Scream. Anyone who liked the movie should actually check out the show, which is a really good, I think that's sort of where that idea was meant to be, because the longer, having 12 episodes instead of a movie really lets them do the 10 Little Indians thing in a decent fashion. But I'll also say, because I didn't talk about it earlier, is OJ Made in America, which is the 30 for 30 5-part documentary series about O.J. Simpson, which is just really, really fantastic documentary work. They find some amazing interviews. They really tell a really clear and comprehensive story that manages to take in the facts of the case, talk about OJ as a person, and then kind of weave in kind of the history of race relations in LA. So that was really cool. And it does a really cool thing where most documentaries, they get a bunch of people that they're going to interview, and then they interview that person about the thing that they're directly connected to. So in this one, the helicopter pilot who happened to fly over OJ's slow motion chase, they interview him about that. But in most documentaries, they interview them about every other part of it, because outside of that one moment when they were directly connected to the case, they were just an outsider observer, and so they were able to speak really well to how the culture and how people who weren't connected to the case felt about all the other aspects of it. So that ends up being a really cool way to tell that story.
All right, cool. Sam, do you have anything?
There is nothing live action or American that anyone wouldn't already have seen. Amazon has done a great enough job of Man Like Castle Season 2 being explicit to everyone. I would also say... Not
if you ask Todd Vanderwerf.
And no comment. Well, I mean, look, their advertising campaign means you're aware of it. Whether it's a good show or not is a different conversation. I will say on the...
He's just saying people know what it is.
People know what it is. It's not hidden. I would say I'd say the biggest hidden gem is the Netflix download to your phone feature. So if there's anything that you've been meaning to catch up on and you happen to live a lifestyle like me where you spend large periods of time not on an airplane or in secure sites with no Wi-Fi, the ability to have entire seasons of shows on your phone is really interesting and totally cool.
Well, I have an answer that actually probably would end up being Sam's semi-answer, because it's not anime, so you can still do this. But Star vs. Forces of Evil is a really solid cartoon that now that a lot of the other big cartoons have slowly ended, with Korra going away and Gravity Falls, it's kind of one of the last ones left that kind of does some of this stuff. And it deconstructs magical girls from an American sense and princesses, and it's really interesting. Second season kind of is really built upon some of the stuff from the first season. So, it's a really fun show that is crazy. And unfortunately, it airs on Disney, which means it does suffer from the Disney scheduling weirdness. But
wait, Disney schedules things? I assume that the Disney schedule is I have an RSS reader that tells me when it goes up to be torrented by the people who pull it off their DVRs.
That's how you get it. How they assign it is a series of monkeys throwing darts. Yeah,
that's probably true. But from the other one, I probably would say is another show that kind of continued. And this was just that continues to be a show that is just really fun. And the third season's coming back soon, and it was a really enjoyable. It's been a really enjoyable show. How they built also in the second season from the first season, which was a fun show. And the second season, they really started taking ideas and just doing whatever they wanted with it, was really interesting. And so those are probably the most surprising ones of enjoyment. Though I will also say that I haven't seen all of Scream, but the parts I have seen, I will agree with Caillou, it is remarkably more competent than you would ever expect it to be. And it worked. It's a fun show to watch at times, and it kind of continued the trend. MTV has a couple of shows like that. They've kind of been able to figure out how to make shows that are more watchable than you would expect, which is something. Hopefully they can at least continue doing that, if not doing more. they go forward. All right. So now we're going to do an in-out for television. And first thing we're going to start with is how are we? Well, no, I'll skip ahead. We're going to go first. Since you brought up a little bit, Caillou, about news channels, live action one, you can choose to talk with them a little bit if you want in this. But where are we at on like John Oliver's, Samantha Bee's, especially giving now where we are in the world and stuff? Where are you guys currently in and out on these shows? However you wish to address them. If you want to use real news in there as well, go ahead. But, where are we at?
I'm out. I've decided to spend any time thinking about the news, stocking up on bottled water, ammunition, bitcoins, and energy bars. So I'm avoiding all meaningful news that's not related to technology or pop culture.
Can you fill a real treasure chest with Bitcoin?
Yes, what you do is you buy a bunch of really old, cheap USB flash drives, and you use them as offline storage. Yeah.
Does each one hold?
Have you actually started?
Repeat, David, please.
Oh, sorry, it went away. I thought Kai was. I was gonna say, have you actually bought the Bitcoin yet, or are you just letting the value continue to rise?
In order, I'm buying guns, ammunition, bottled water, and then Bitcoin. So I'm still in the guns, ammunition stage. Then I buy bottled water. Then I buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, but the Bitcoin is. But if you keep doing that, like now Bitcoin's at what, like over 1,000 a
yeah. Yes,
Bitcoin? Like for the first time, it's not going down.
Yeah, you're way late on the apocalyptic preparation game.
Like you were late for this 6 months ago when you talked about it. Now you're super late.
I keep hoping it'll crash and then I can get in.
Crash.
If it crashes, like we have bigger problems than Bitcoin.
Yeah. Wouldn't Bitcoin to crash have to here we got a deeper systemic problem in like the internet and like technology for that to happen?
Well, so the big way Bitcoin can crash is legal changes in China, because a big part of that is the capital controls there. There are a couple other specific technical ways, because Bitcoin has some problems with the trust of obviously your merchants, and then there's also a lot of questions about certain legal restrictions, how one of several nation states could make purchasing Bitcoins very, very onerous. Also, the other real risk of Bitcoin crash would be any larger move towards Ether, because Bitcoin and Ether have some different ideas about fairness, and Bitcoin very much prioritizes people who got in 5 years ago as opposed to people who get in right now. And there's always the risk for a populist revolt away from Bitcoin towards Ether.
Well, here's the thing: is that if you're waiting to get in on the ground floor of a cryptocurrency that's crashed, Dogecoin is right there, right there for the taking. You could probably buy all of it.
Okay, Dogecoin.
All right, so cool. We let the Bitcoin thing go a little too far.
I admit I forgot the original question.
Where are you at on a comedy news show?
I think that we're actually at the point where
hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Because they're like Matt and Sarah are like screaming to each other now. Let them stop.
I can't hear that at all, but okay.
Get good.
Wait, is someone downstairs?
Also, you're breaking up really bad.
1 second. Well, that's because I'm not by the mic. Hold on 1 second.
Get good.
Who the fuck are they talking to? Guess who else is here? Well, you're useless right now. Quiet. I said, guess who else is here? Oh, god damn it. You're not useless, Milani. Well, I'm gonna go tell Caillou this. He's gonna be like, we're sorry, but no, man. We're almost done. Sorry, Bryant and Bomani are here.
We heard that. You should make them come up and get on the podcast and tell us their best movie moments of the year.
No.
We're almost done. I'm not making. No. We're almost done. I'm not fucking making this longer.
Well, just
Go
mention to
ahead.
Bomani,
Probably-
mention to Bomani that my worst moment of the year was American Honey, please.
Okay, I'll tell him that. Anyhow, Caillou, comedy news shows. Go.
We've reached the point where they're all different. So like John Oliver is great. He continues to be great. I just saw yesterday, like trending on Reddit was a dude who was one of the guys whose medical debt was like bought and forgiven by John Oliver. Like John Oliver continues to do great things in the world. And that's why I think he's the best show currently until wait, wrong segment. I don't like Samantha Bee's show. I think she does good work. I just don't like her and her like delivery. She's just like too stridently, sarcastically angry. She's just like too stridently, sarcastically angry all the time. Other than that, like who is left? Like Colbert gets political sometimes, and he is actually did pretty well during the election. SNL was funny. I don't know. They're all different. I mean, they're all better than the real news, which is awful now. When you turn on like CNN and it's like a panel on like, should we or should we not put the Jews in a concentration camp? ? It's like CNN, something is terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah, I will say that, while like I definitely agree that those shows definitely are a little too bubbly, just kind of made it be like, well, if I'm going to watch the news, this is probably how it's going to happen because Lord knows I can't trust the real news anymore on any way, shape, or form. So Megyn
Kelly is moving to NBC, and for some reason everybody is like, Megyn Kelly is becoming more liberal instead of NBC is becoming more conservative. Things are not trending in a good direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think she just also was ready to escape from the Fox News vacuum of evil. So there's that.
I don't think she should be allowed to.
Well, that's a different point. But all right, so of these answers, I enjoy Sam the most, since Sam is the most sensible, which is the news is no longer important to me. Guns, Bitcoin, and water. So
Dogecoin.
Hopefully we'll have a little different stuff here, but okay. So this would be a much more relevant question if Caillou and I had actually seen Westworld, but we can still do it. Where are we in and out? Okay, in and out on currently, I guess, HBO in general.
In-ish. I want Baller season 3. I want Westworld season 4. Maybe Westworld season 2 and 3 might be okay. I think by season 4 that'll hit its stride, given how season 1 was. I don't know. Like I kind of thought Game of Thrones would shame Martin to the next book, and it didn't. But if they keep doing Game of Thrones, eventually he'll give his note to someone else, and someone else will finish the next book. I hope.
I mean,
there's only gonna be 2 more seasons of Game of Thrones, so.
I mean, HBO continues to be a place where big budget, creative driven, high concept television can happen, and that's still really exciting.
Was it this year, last year that had season 2 of True Detective?
Last year.
Okay.
Possibly the year before. It wasn't this year, definitely. It wasn't 2016.
No, it wasn't. 2 years ago would have been the actual. Yeah, I think it was last year.
But anyway, I mean, like they did the night of, which while I had problems with it, was a really cool thing for them to try to do. Their comedy game continues to be really good. Veep this year changed showrunners and had a really strong season regardless, and made another like crazy exciting Veep style choice that should make the next season like really excellent. So like I think HBO is going to continue to be delivering good stuff for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, regardless of Sam's disagreement, it seems apparently with everyone else on the internet, the success of Westworld at least seems to show that they're at least going to be able to make a show that has that kind of cultural cachet after Game of Thrones leaves, which they've been struggling a little bit, But that's, to be fair, the like rope you gain when you have something like Game of Thrones, you can keep trying until it's off the air, and times.
I mean, for all the like think piece hand-wringing about that, like HBO, because they make good stuff, bold choices, strong creative control, like they are never going to hurt for something that people care about very much. It once upon a time it was The Sopranos. Now it's Game of Thrones. They'll find something else, even if Westworld fades like True Detective did.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between finding something people care about and like finding something where like HBO usually has like one of the shows, and if they could, and it's kind of part of wondering if they're going to go away in this way is that really sustaining that should be impossible. They just keep doing it. So, but you're right that it's not like even in that case they're just going to like suddenly be. They're not going to become Showtime.
Yeah.
Stars. It's not going to happen. So, like, you know, even though both those networks have at least somewhat, you know, doing things now and doing more ideas, Stars to the fact that they've kind of realized that they maybe are the best place to adapt. I guess like novels and graphic novels places. It seems to be working well for them.
It's doing Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Stars.
Well, right, and then Showtime. And Stars. That's what I'm saying. They're doing like they're bringing back adaptations of old things, and that seems to be where they're gaining a lot of strength from. But yeah, all right. So we're still kind of in. All right. Then since we talked a little bit about, I guess, the state of superhero stuff and kind of where it is. I guess I'd also agree on like, especially because how it's been handled differently, and where are you guys at on, I guess, just like superhero shows on television right now?
Was Daredevil 2 this year, or was that also 3 years ago?
Which one was 3 years ago?
Daredevil 2.
Daredevil 2 was this year. It was the first. It was 2016. It was the first of the Marvel shows. It came out in like the early part of the year. We had a podcast about it.
Did we? Daredevil 2 was really good. Other than that, I don't really watch
Luke Cage,
the superhero
racist.
shows. I didn't see Luke Cage either.
Racist.
I just don't like black stories. I don't think that's racist. I think it's just my preference.
Okay. I've already said my whole piece about how I'm tired of our popular culture being a monoculture and too many stories being based on the same things, and the expansion of Netflix's Marvel universe of auteur superhero stories, and then the essential creation of a DC Justice League universe with a bunch of other interesting stuff in DC. It's like, even if the individual shows are good, what I've seen of Legends of Tomorrow is interesting. The Flash has always been charming when I've seen it. Supergirl seemed dumb to me, but many people I respect, some of them who are on this podcast, like that show. It does bother me that, like, what percentage of mainstream, I guess, podcast, blog, cultural attention is being talked about, ideas that are made only by Marvel and DC.
I mean, the CW has basically built their entire brand now off of being a DC thing. In fact, I'm waiting for them just to say screw it and just cancel everything else and just. Eventually just DC shows and Supernatural. That's what's going to be.
We're just as much to blame as anyone else. I mean, we did a podcast on Daredevil, but did we do a podcast on Rectify? No.
I would do one to Rectify when I actually watch it. I just haven't had a chance to yet. But we totally will when that happens.
We should have podcasted on Powers season 2.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that because you told me not to watch it. Am I supposed to watch it now?
I mean, have you angered me this week? Do I want you to suffer this week?
Did they go into
the
past thing yet?
Sam.
Like the backstory yet, or what?
The point is this: Powers is literally painful to watch, and I inflicted on my co-podcasters here because I hate them.
Yeah, I've enjoyed, I guess, some of it because watching the cross that happened between the most at the end of the year was really cool because it actually seeing an organically grown cross universe thing was fun, especially considering how terrible the DC movie universe is right now. But I agree that it I'll agree that it has kind of look, I'm not even talking about forgetting what's actually happened on screen. I'm talking about the fact that how Warner Brothers is handling making these movies by concern right now. Majors of these things. But I will agree that it's getting a little much, even if I've enjoyed pretty much every single one they've done, and thus obviously they keep making them. It is a little worrisome that it's going to kind of eventually take over everything. It isn't CBS, who tried it once and then we're like, nah. It also has been kind of amusing to see that apparently there's some sort of conch happening with the CW shows that only one of them can have it, so only one of them can be really good at a time. So Flash came, and for a while Arrow was terrible, and now this year somehow Arrow's the best of the 4 again, which should have been impossible. And apparently each of them just steal the conch, and for a while one of them was great. But in general, it sounds like, where we are on superhero shows is kind of like, yeah, all right, but maybe too much. Or in Sam's case, stop watching this and continue just to pile up on guns, Bitcoin, and water. So I'm going to go ahead and end the television discussion now. I have a little more time to talk about something Sam actually has seen a little bit, and Kai's favorite subject, which is we'll briefly go over 2016 anime in a special Nothing But Trash anime edition, I suppose.
Well, Nothing But Trash is always anime. This is a special Nothing But Trash 2016 Festive Edition. But let me just say right now briefly that 2016 was a trash year, but also perhaps a year for trash. Sam, what's the trashiest trash you saw this year, and why was it so trashy?
I mean, this is the
hold
year.
on, and just so I can translate this into the correct thing, what he's actually asking, Sam, what was the best show on anime this year?
So the answer isn't Keijo and My First Love Monster and Super Lovers. It's not that. Okay, so I'm an adaptation fan. The best for me personally was obviously the new Monogatari, which you cannot watch legally in English this time because they never localized it. But it continues the story, and the after tag sequence, the last episode, had me crying with joy. It was such a great moment. The new Gundam, the season 2 of Unblooded Orphans, has been really impressive on the technical level, and I really liked what they did with that. Besides that, there were a bunch of Trapped in Another World shows, Konosuba, Real Life, and others.
All right, Sam, it was just 2 answers. It's fine. I don't want you to restate your entire article. So you're good. Cut him off after that. I'm let Ortiz done on, but I made it short when I said this.
Okay.
All right. David, same question.
Hold on. Hi, plane. I look forward how much a clusterfuck sound's going to be this time, because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I don't know. Probably it'll be something.
I just still understand. You guys do keep breaking up, but you come assuming your side's going to be fine on.
Yeah, it's an internet issue.
So, all right. Probably if I'd say the best thing from this year was probably Erased, even if I have to count the fact that, which is kind of a problem since the last episode of Erased kind of undoes some stuff with Erased, but not terribly, not so much. So it's still roughly fine. But overall, that was the most enjoyable show to watch. It was kind of the closest I've seen, other than, and I haven't seen it yet, Yuri on Ice, to being a show that seemed to punch a little bit through to more mainstream people than just... And I don't mean more mainstream people for a show like that as opposed to stuff like Attack on Titan, which, yeah, Race is probably the most enjoyable show, and from a pure just how the story worked, everything. I kind of have a soft spot for ReZero, even if that show's an absolute mess. It doesn't make any sense, and there are lots of issues with it. But watching go through things was just kind of really amusing, even if by the end of it it's just what the hell just happened.
Wait, even I know enough about anime to know that you and Sam disagree on this. Fight!
We've had this conversation before in person, but I am of the camp that thinks that Natsuki Subaru is the worst, and the show should remind you that he is the worst, the way it does in Konosuba, the way it does in any ethical version of this, where he would die alone and the girl would hate him forever. And up until the halfway part where the girl, who he's probably brainwashed into being in love with, says, fuck you, because you're a tool and you entitled prick. Instead of realizing he's an entitled asshole, he doubles down and then saves the day and wins the girl. It's really frustrating. It's mainly the ending of that show that justifies him being an entitled otaku tool that makes the show so morally dangerous, when the opening of him I'm not the hero, I'm awful at this and I shouldn't be the hero, is a much cooler story for otakus to hear.
Look, he began, he wasn't the hero. By the end, he was the hero. It's a classic arc where along the way he did no growing or changing whatsoever.
I mean,
my actual argument is that Sam is just wrong about the arc and watched the show wrong. It's still a problematic ending for lots of reasons, and a lot of what he says is actually true. But longer than he's talking about, they have him go really through the. He actually at first tries to keep doing the same thing and continues to fail miserably. Actually, does do things differently. Also, he has the power to learn from his mistakes, literally, because he'll die. The fact that I will say the frustration I had in this show was the fact that he didn't just accept that every time he made a mistake, he should die and try for perfect video game run. Really annoyed me because he had the ability to do so, and he should have just done it. But
David,
at least
you can't speed run life. That's just not how it works.
well, he could have, and he didn't,
he
and that was part of
definitely
it.
could have, but definitely did not. But my actual argument is that I think the show has a lot of issues, but I think he, for the most part, did somewhat change. And more importantly, if for no other reason, it is kind of weird when he goes back. The stuff he does with the girl is kind of weird, but the end of the show is, in fact, not I'm in love with you and her going, I'm in love with you as well. The end of the show is like, I'm in love with you. You're in love with me suddenly. And, change that, but like he's not like there, which most shows would have just gone all the way in and like she's in love with him. Now it's going to happen quite to the degree that Sam does.
My problem with that show,
the dangerous as other shows have.
My problem with that show is not that he doesn't change; it's that I don't see in that arc a recognition on his part that he's an entitled prick. Because part of why the first part of that show was so interesting and strong is because, like all of the otaku wakes up in a foreign world, he brings kind of all of his frankly toxic masculinity attitudes with him into this world of like, I'm a hero, I deserve this, I because I saved you, I deserve X. And while he realizes that he's screwed up, he doesn't realize that not only did he screw up by like picking a fight with a knight and losing and like not holding his tongue in a audience chamber, but he screwed up in the larger thing where when he wakes up and Amelia's like, you just fucked me over, and and he's like, you don't understand. I do everything for you. I've been white knighting you from the shadows, but you don't know about it because I keep dying and you only see this replay. And like that moment of like, that's not how it works, dude. Like that's not how it should be a thing. And my problem with the ending is, even though the arc he does is basically to get good, he didn't need to get good. What he needed is to recognize that he was being kind of an entitled sexist prick, because that's one of the like toxic ideas that has taken heart in a lot of otaku culture and otaku media. And rather than actually critiquing that and having a show where like there's a recognition of like, if Amelia's just right here, and the problem isn't that he wasn't strong enough or that he failed, the problem is that he didn't was this sense of entitlement. Like the fact that I never see that resolved is why I find the ending so frustrating, because it teaches the the wrong lesson of he was right to be entitled. He was just wrong because he didn't deserve it yet.
I mean, that's fair. I think they're a little bit more suggesting that he did learn this. I will argue that I will agree that if this is literally all we get every Zero, I'll have to somewhat change stuff, because then I'll have no textual evidence to support going forward. I think considering how it looks like it's kind of open-ended, if they come back, I think he's at a place where he did realize that, but it was kind of very at the end and you don't see it. So you're correct. From that statement, a lot of it is assumed stuff. I think he does have more moments where he realizes what he did was actually wrong, but more have seemed to show his realization of those with every other character except her than her, which is a problem. I agree. So there's a reason why I said there's parts of the show I enjoy and kind of have a soft spot for, but that doesn't mean I think this show is there are lots of issues with this
it's
show.
Time for the important question. Who's best girl? Who's best girl, David? Who is it? Rem or Ram?
It's Rem.
What? It's Ram.
It's Ram.
Obviously Ram. You're fucking wrong.
You're fucking crazy. You are absolutely crazy.
This anime is trash, and you both are trash, and I'm trash for having listened to this. Let us end this, please. Okay. And with that, end 2016 once for all.
Okay. We will, after having our spirited discussion about ReZero and Breaking Caillou again after he covered from 2016, I think that's a review of the so-called best ofs-ish things of 2016.
Next
We're
year,
now in
we have to best girl 2017. We have to do it.
Next year, if there is a next year,
now, but sure.
well, I mean, look, I'm not sure we're all going to make it through 2017, but if we happen to, we will we'll come back for the best ofs.
Hopefully there'll be some best ofs and the world won't be on fire. We're good. At least on that point.
Hopefully there'll be a few more. Hopefully there'll be a few more best ofs and a few less worst ofs. That's all we can hope for, I think.
Yeah, but as always, you can find our other thoughts on pulp cultures and even some of our other thoughts on more best of stuff on our blog at www.insidethekraken.com. But we have to go now. There's a lot to clean up after the New Year's party in the Kraken. His countdown ball was, in fact, an explosive acid zone, and a lot of people are now dead. So we got to fix a lot of stuff.
You missed a great testicles joke there. Good job, David.
Makes a great what?
Testicles joke there.
That is the best achievement in the history of the Xbox console right there.
Yeah, I decided I didn't want to do that. So, look, I'm not Steven Spielberg. I can't do classy balls jokes like he did classy fart jokes. It's just,
Oh, God. Classy Steven Spielberg fart jokes. It's like he should go back and add fart jokes to all of his movies. It's just like they open the Ark of the Covenant. It's just like fart. Oscar Schindler's like, I could have saved one more. Fart.
So why exactly aren't we putting the podcast and blog on hold?
I've caused mine, so.
What? What'd you say, David?
I was just saying, so I've paused. So, yeah, keep talking. Go ahead.
Cool.
Okay. So
I'll tell everyone in LA I'll see them in a few weeks. And
wait, what were you asking, Sam? Why haven't we what?
Why haven't we put the podcast and blog on hold so we can read it through the movies and have farts hold? Yeah, just for fart jokes. Just like we're the guys who re-edit you and Steven Spielberg farts. Like
Steven Fartberg.
Yeah, Steven Fartberg. That's what we do now. We do that.
I don't know. I'll tell them all you. I'm exporting the second file now.
The whole scene, the whole monologue from Jaws, but at the end, instead of we deliver the bomb with goes, we deliver the far.
Okay, I'll talk to you both later because I can't hear well anyhow. So, yeah.
Bye.
Peace out.
Yeah, talk to you later.